Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn. Sean Rodman producing the show. Good guests coming your way throughout the show today. Getting some Eagles later on, but I'm livid. Honestly. Yesterday, I felt like the entire 4 hours, we spent most of it at least talking about how the Phillies and Mets, big 3-game set. They stink at Citi Field. They haven't been able to figure it out at Citi Field. I've been annoyed with the way they played up there. I had the PTSD from going up there earlier this year. I had obviously all the bad memories of the postseason last year. And what'd they do? They wanted to make sure you were laser focused on the struggles they've had up there, because they gave you every bit of bad baseball that you could imagine with this team in a matter of one night. You got every little thing that you think could go wrong. Ooh, this strong starting pitching, they could have one bad start come October. Well, there was one bad start. Last night, the offseason, and its shortcomings in neon in front of you in terms of that bullpen and what you watched in Jordan Romano and Joe Ross. And the bats. Well, it looks like they're kind of hitting Senga. They kind of got it figured out. Stranded runners. And don't even get me started on the defense for this team last night. Defensively, they did not help out Christopher Sanchez either. It was an ugly, ugly baseball game last night for the Phillies as they dropped the opener up there in New York. And as much as I could get upset with every little thing that went wrong, again, a tough start, the bullpen, offensively leaving runners on, defensively the miscues. Honestly, I throw my hands up in the air, and I'm just sitting here like, this is them at Citi Field. This is what we were talking about yesterday. Yesterday, we were talking about how this team struggles up there and how sometimes you could just be fearful of a venue and showing up somewhere. We talked about the Phillies in San Francisco. We talked about the Eagles playing out in Seattle and how those different places, for whatever reason, lead to an unenjoyable experience. And Citi Field has become one of those places for this team. And the Mets, as bad as they've been, because going into last night, over the last 61, they were like 24-37. They have been a bad baseball team for 60 games worth of their season. Last night, they laughed at you. The entire city of New York had a good laugh at the Phillies' expense last night. Up there at Citi Field again. That's 8 straight losses at Citi Field. They are 6-22 in their last 28 games played up there. And it's why you can't put to bed what happened last year. It's why you can't put to bed this Mets team. Sure, right now you wake up today still 6 games up in the NL East. You are thrilled at the fact that you still have that lead in the NL East. And even if this goes as bad as it can the rest of the week, you will still walk out of there with a 4-game lead in the National League East. But the truth continues to exist in the fact that this team, it struggles in Citi Field and it struggles against the Mets, means you can't put that team to bed. I asked you yesterday if you still respected the Mets as contenders. I think we all came to the conclusion that a lot of us don't see anything in terms of a World Series, in terms of that team winning the ultimate prize. But when it comes to playing this Phillies team, they've got the Phillies number, and you can almost see it in this team. I saw it last night on social media, people saying, oh, this team looks a little scared up there. There's something wrong up there. We spent 10 minutes last night watching on television as they tried to remove a mic from center field because Bohm complained about it. There was a 10-minute delay for a microphone in center field. Because, oh, there's a glare there. Really? After the game, you got your star saying, well, Sanchez might have been tipping his pitches. Okay. Or are you just a little paranoid about what the Mets might have on you? And the whole opposing colors thing, not really for me, in Harper wearing the gear for, it's a rival pack. That rival's in their head right now. They know it, and we know it. You were able to take 2 or 3 over the Mets here at Citizens Bank Park, but you have not been able to figure that team out up at Citi Field. And that needs to change. And I want to ask you today, because this, to me, goes beyond just what actually happens on the field. This goes more into the mentality. This goes more into the characteristic of this team. Are you more concerned about what you saw happen on the field, or the actual mentality of this group when it comes to facing the Mets. Because to me, this is more, there's something. There's a mind block or something up there in Citi Field for this group. They have not been able to play well up there for quite a while. And it is a group that, we've said a million times, very similar to the one they put out there last year. Comes into this year. And in the series in April, they looked lifeless against the team that took them out in the postseason just 6 months prior. A few months later, they go up there. They get a 3-run lead. And everything comes undone. Christopher Sanchez, who's been tremendous this year. We've talked so many times on this show about the Sanchez-Skeens race for the Cy Young. Tough morning for that. He has a balk, and then he unravels from there. And then he's going after a trash can in the dugout like he plays for the Astros. What in the world happened to my baseball team in just a trip to New York? 13 unanswered runs in that game last night. And it shows, again, the mind block they have going up there to Citi Field, why you still have to respect the Mets in terms of their ability to compete with the Phillies. People yesterday, oh, yeah, and at least it's over. Yeah, by the math, it doesn't look like the Mets would be able to catch the Phillies. But they went into play last night with 7 games left between these two teams, and the Phillies had a 7-game lead. There's your world for the Mets to make it up. The Phillies need to desperately figure it out up there. And it's, at this point, salvage one. Show you can win at Citi Field. It's been 8 consecutive. Haven't seen them win up there yet in 2025. 4 straight losses. 2 losses in the postseason a year ago. And then the last 2 losses, you have to go all the way back to last September for a victory up there. 8 straight. 22 of 28 in terms of losses up there at Citi Field. And I ask you at 610-632-0975, do you see this more as a problem as what you saw on the field, the mistakes you saw on the field, or do you see this more as a mentality thing and something that the Mets just have on the Phillies right now? Because quite frankly, it feels like the Mets just own them. I was hosting this show when the Mets came to town. I remember that weekend, hey, you need a big series here. You need to show that you have something on this team. And to the Phillies' credit, they took 2 of 3. Last night, beginning of that game, they were hitting Senga and looked like they were primed to show the Mets, hey, yeah, we are that team. We are the team in the NL East. And all it took, things go wrong for you for a second, start making mistakes, and then you unravel. Totally unravel. Against the Mets team that for the better part of the last 2 months, you've been much better than. Very disappointing start to that series. And I'm asking you if you see it more of a mental thing or more of just the play on the field for this team. Because to me, when it comes to the Mets, you can have every little problem that you want with this baseball team. It is so much more than, oh, this problem, that problem. It is something about playing that Mets team and certainly something about playing up there in Citi Field that this team can't get over. I don't know if they play too tight. I don't know if they just need to relax. But there is something there with this group mentally when they go up against the Mets. And it's driving me nuts. And another thing. We'll get your reaction at 610-632-0975. I'm the last one out of the Romano Club. All right? I turned the lights off. The door's locked. Party's over. It's closed. It's time for other options there. All right? When we were talking a week ago, 2 weeks ago, on the Ross Romano thing, I was like, well, what does Ross really give you? And you saw it last night after Romano. Not much. And I was like, you could keep Romano around to see if he clicks in and figures it out. He's not figuring it out. The party's over. All right? I turned the lights off. Doors closed. Club's closed. Time to move on that one. All right? What are we doing? I mean, that I feel for the guy. I honestly do. He's doing his best out there, but he just doesn't have it. And Dabrowski is the one that you watched those last 2 innings of last night with Romano and Ross. You're like, yeah, that's why you had to go spend premium prospects at the deadline to go out there and get a closer. And why you had to pay David Robertson, because it was just a putrid offseason when it comes to that bullpen. So coming up, Look for a way to solve that. What can they do? We'll be solutions-oriented on filling those roster spots for Romano. And also, what was wrong with Christopher Sanchez last night? Coming up at 11:25, we'll have on Patterson's Tim Kelly to join us, talk about the Phillies. 1:25 later today, we got KC Keeler, head coach for Temple Football, join us to talk about their upcoming season. Plenty to get to. I'm Ray Dunn. Take it through middays right here, 97.5, The Fanatic. The season, you've seen them, Sean Robin, where, hey, this was the story of the 2025 Phillies. You've seen them. You've watched.
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm scripting the 2025 Mets video yearbook, you know what I saw last night? I saw the turning point. I saw the rallying point. If I'm sitting there, I'm like, hey, yeah, let's all remember that 13-3. You wake up today in New York as a Mets fan, you're like, you know what? The last 2 months have sucked, but we're still in playoff position, and you know what we do? We own the Phillies. Because guess what? You remember a fun team that existed back in 2022, 2023, that went by the name of the Philadelphia Phillies? You know, they actually didn't win the division either one of those years. You know what they did do in the postseason? They owned the Braves. And that was fun. And it was like, you know what? We went through 2023. Hey, we're in postseason position. You know, if we just make the playoffs, once we get in, we can have a party and we'll be all good. You're the Mets this morning. You wake up, you say, hey, last 2 months have sucked, but look at that. we're still pretty much where we need to be. We put together a strong rest of August, strong rest of September, and we can take care of this team because guess what we've already done? Taking care of this team. On the Phillies side of things, sitting here like, hey, you've been better than this group. Why can't you prove that at Citi Field? What about Citi Field stops you from doing that? Now, you have two opportunities. Now, the first YouTube comment I saw we got today, hey, next 2 are ours. We got this. We were making the joke yesterday here on the show that the first two were going to be the Phillies, and then when I went up there Wednesday night, they were going to lose because that's just how it goes for me when I'm watching Phillies-Mets with my friend, his fiance who's a Mets fan, that I can't watch a win in their presence, and I'm going with them on Wednesday night. Now I'm just sitting here like, get me one up there. Show me something. And last night, it's not so much every little thing that goes wrong. It's the combination of all of them and what it shows you about the team. The pathetic rundown. The balk. The complaining about a microphone in center field. Talking after the game about, oh, they're tipping pitches. The Mets are picking up on something. It just sounds, everything sounds paranoid. That mic out there is a problem. The Mets information, they got too much information on us. Everything sounds paranoid. Everything sounds concerned. Everything sounds worried about this team. The 28 others in baseball, they show up. Phillies any day of the week. Yeah, all right. I believe it. The Mets show up and it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know about us. What do they have? Like you're looking over your shoulder consistently. It's driving me insane with this team. It really is. We talked about it yesterday, about whether a menu can be a problem for you. If you bought in anything into last year when it comes to this matchup, because the Mets, again, for 2 months have not been a great baseball team. I can't let last year go. And last night is a prime example of why a lot of people shouldn't let last year go and why earlier this season when they looked lifeless at Citi Field, that meant something.
You mentioned them being just complaining about every little thing, and that's the things that everybody that watches the Phillies will nitpick and hate. And that's everything that the Phillies have hated over the last, Phillies fans, I should say, have hated over the last 2-3 seasons. They see the errors in the field. They see and you started off with the first play of the game by Trey Turner. Luckily, they're able to bounce back through that, and you don't see anything really happen again until, the 4th inning at that point. But it's something about Citi Field that they just don't play well there, and it doesn't make sense because they are the better team. You mentioned it yesterday. They're 13 games. The Mets were 13 games below 500 since July, June of when they were 20 games
June
over 500.
12th, they were 21 games under or 21 games over, and since that time they've been in 13 games under.
Yes.
12 games under.
12 games under now
because they got the win last night.
Yeah,
in case you forgot.
And are we overreacting a little bit? Maybe slightly, of course.
No, actually, I don't think we are. You want to know why? I'm not overreacting this team. I'm not coming on here today telling you this season's doomed, this team stinks. I think we're properly reacting to a team that's lost 8 straight games up at Citi Field, was eliminated by the Mets last year, and last night showed the lack of focus of a team that's clearly bothered by their surroundings, bothered by their opponent. That, to me, is not an overreaction today. That's a reality of the world we're living in with the Phillies.
And, you mentioned the lack of focus. Why would they have lack of focus against their number one rival right now? Why would they have lack of focus to a team that they cannot seem to beat on the road right now? That just shows to me that there is something mentally about that building and maybe even about that team, the Mets specifically, that the Phillies cannot overcome at this very moment. Not to say that they won't, but at this very second, they've lost 8 straight there in New York.
And we got people in the YouTube chat kind of dropping in some of their thoughts on this. And the conversation right now being had is, well, we don't homer there. And the two things are correlated. Yeah, the Phillies got a bash to be successful, and if they're not hitting home runs, they're going to have a problem. But go look back a week ago. Literally a week ago. We were talking about that Mariners series, what they're doing there. The approach at the plate was fantastic in that series. For an approach to just disappear in a week's time is incredible. Like, what'd they do better than anything last week? They hit with runners on. That was something they were capable of doing during that stretch like nobody's business. Last night, they had Senga on the ropes. It felt like they could break that game open. You're sitting there like, let's go. You get runs in, it's 3-0. You feel like you're going to be able to break that one, and you're just not able to do so. And then you go quiet the rest of the game, and that becomes a side story to the fact that Christopher Sanchez has the start he does, where he's kicking a trash can. And coming up, I I had someone say something to me, and I heard actually Andrew get into this morning on the morning show about the call that they had yesterday, which kind of followed up on something I had heard or had a conversation about with someone last week about Christopher Sanchez. We'll talk about that coming up in the next segment. But that, Romano, Ross, go down the line, everything just unraveled for you. Everything unraveled for you. And unraveled in a place where your season unraveled a year ago. That's the biggest thing to me. That's why yesterday, I wanted so badly to come on the airwaves today and say, well, that concerned guy you heard yesterday, wasn't he a moron? Look at the way the Phillies took care of business. And through a few innings, I was like, that's going to happen. Was it three no-hit innings to start that game? 3-run advantage. You told me that I got 6 innings left in the game. You're up 3-0. Christopher Sanchez on the mound. I'm feeling great about it every time. You know what? You go up to Citi Field, that doesn't matter. And it hasn't mattered for this team, no matter what you've put in front of them. And that's a huge problem. Now, the Romano thing of this. You either throw him on the injured list and prolong this, fine. You want to do that, say that he needs the time. You don't want to just cut bait. I don't know why you wouldn't cut bait at this point. I'm all in the camp at DFA him. If you want to do that, though, I think you have the ability to throw Wheeler on the 60-day at this point with his season being over. Lou Trevino's sitting there in Lehigh Valley. And not that I think he's a lifesaver at all for this bullpen that, he's going to change the world. Trevino, though, in the 7 innings he's pitched down there, hasn't allowed a run. He's got plenty of major league experience. If we're going to keep trying things, bringing in a new right-hander to replace the Romano and the Rosses of the world, you might as well give him an extended look over the next month. And that would be my solutions-oriented thing, because I get the thing all the time. You just complain. You don't give me anything in terms of solution. I could complain about a bad game last night. I'm giving you a form of solution right here. That's my solution to what I saw with Romano. My solution to this team playing at Citi Field, I don't know, just play better. Show us that you can do it.
We saw it a week ago.
We've seen the way this team's played all season. Against the Mets, they're what now at this point? 2-5?
Yeah.
2-5 against the Mets with the rest of the record. I don't know, what were we? 73 or 76 and 55. So the rest of they're 74 and 50 against everyone else. You've done it against everyone else. Why not the Mets? Coming up. Something I heard today on the morning show that mirrored a conversation I had with a friend last week about Christopher Sanchez and that top spot in the rotation, what it means for the postseason, and should I have any worry? Is it right to have any worry? I'm Ray Dunn, taking you to the midday show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils lose its 8th in a row at Citi Field. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Christopher Sanchez had one of his worst starts of the season last night, going 5 2/3 innings, allowing 8 hits, 6 runs, 5 of those earned, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The bullpen wasn't great either with Romano and Ross, but their top guys were not used yesterday. ESPN's Tim Kirchin joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday on if he believes the Phillies have a good enough bullpen for the playoffs.
I think it's enough. And when you have that big-time closer who is durable and can work a lot, Duran can, that's a real bonus. When you have starting pitchers can give you 6 most nights out, that's really helpful too.
Phillies look to turn things around with Jesus Luzardo on the mound tonight for the Phils and Sean Manaea for the Mets. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10. Today is NFL cut-down day. The Eagles have until 4 p.m. to get the roster down to 53. Some notable players already waived are Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green, who was received in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade last spring. This update is sponsored by local Can-Am dealer. Right now through October 31st, take advantage of the Can-Am factory sales on select 2025 Can-Am side-by-side or ATV vehicles. Conditions apply. Visit your local Can-Am dealer for details. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Show here on the Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn hanging out with you. Oh my goodness. I can't, I can. I think that's the frustrating part about last night. Amongst many things, I can believe what happened last night. It was just one of those, as you're watching this, I became exhausted thinking about all the different ways I'd be mad reliving it today. And we will get into some Eagles conversation. It is roster cut down day. So what will they do? What will it look like? Are there still moves to be made? We'll keep you updated. Also, today, I promised you this. You know what we're getting today?
What are we getting to?
The baseball schedule.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about
W's
that.
and L's for 2026.
162.
Before the offseason. By far the most just insane thing to have before the season ends. I love the fact they do it that way. But it is hilarious. Like every other sport, they try and make it an event. NBA's trying to make it an event. NFL, it actually is an event. But it's just insane that you have the schedule that far in advance. So I'm excited. Whenever that drops today, I'm fired up. Find out when that Field of Dreams game is. Find out when we're taking road trips next summer. I'm very excited for that. Because I still will be all in on the baseball team, even if it drives me absolutely insane like last night.
Your road trip, by the way, yesterday you did. I tried finding you a minor league team. No minor league teams in West Virginia, by the way.
No minor league
teams affiliated.
Yeah, I was gonna say the West. I think they're now the West Virginia Power.
I don't
think
know what
they're
their name
in the
is yet.
draft league.
They are in the draft league.
Yeah,
though.
they're in the draft league with the State College Spikes, with the Crosscutters, with the Thunder. So that would be probably where I would go in that. No, maybe they're not the Power. I forget which team is in there. There's trips you can make along that side that I would probably go somewhere in Ohio to a minor league, like I think Dayton or no one cares, honestly, as I'm doing this in my head. No one cares. But Indianapolis also, I'd probably try and stop through, because by the time next year comes around, the number of Pirates AAA guys that I would want to see would be probably pretty strong. So if I was doing that trip, and if you missed it yesterday, we're putting together a 12-city road trip for this Field of Dreams game that I will drive out and back from and hit all those cities in the midst of that road trip. But we're trying to find a minor league stop. I mean, you can find a lot of minor league stops, but trying to find one for the way back. But back to last night. Seeing Christopher Sanchez pitch the way he did last night. And it's interesting. I was waiting for this because I thought we were going to get this a lot earlier, and we did not get it until 2 segments in, which is okay. We got on the YouTube chat. It was Steven Butler that checked in with basically, I love how you guys can watch baseball and think that mentality has anything to do with it. Did they hit? Did they pitch? No. Simple as that. They lost. I don't know how you can watch this Phillies team time and time again against the Mets specifically and watch just the way they unraveled in that game last night and not think that mentality has anything to do with it, and not think that the Mets are not at least in the Phillies' head at some point. Like, the third baseman is pointing out to a microphone in center field to have it removed. The pitcher, who's been tremendous all year, has a balk and then unravels from there. Harper, who at times, sure, makes some very questionable baseball decisions, to put it nicely. Screws up in that rundown. Like, there are things that this team did last night, all happening in the same game. I'm sorry, it's not a coincidence. It's a place that they've struggled before. It's a team they got eliminated by a year ago, and it's a team they have not beaten on the road in their last 8 attempts to do so. They've dropped 22 of 28 up there in Citi Field. Mentality does play into it. Baseball is a very mental game. So to me, absolutely it plays into it. And part of mentality is where I want to go with Christopher Sanchez. Because I was having this conversation last week. So obviously you get the Wheeler news. Over the weekend, we found that it was official that he was done for the season. But the weekend before, obviously, we find out about the blood clot. And right from that Monday morning we came on the air, I had said, hey, I'm going to operate under the expectation he's not here for the rest of the season. So that show happens. We have the conversation, then talk to people during the week. I had this conversation about Christopher Sanchez as the ace, as the game one pitcher. And would you feel comfortable with that knowing his lack of experience in that moment. He's never been asked to be that guy. And I was like, huh. I mean, I've watched him pitch this year. He's been that guy for you time and time again. Why would I have an issue with that? And then I heard yesterday on the morning show, and Andrew brought up again today, someone called in and said, hey, you're going to ask the guy that's your game one starter to be your game one starter despite only having 7 innings of postseason experience. And Andrew kind of gave the response that I did. Like, well, I've watched him all season long. He threw out the Skeens comparison. And I sit there and say, yeah, well, that kind of checks. Like, you know, in terms of the best pitchers in baseball right now, Sanchez is one of them. He's going to be your game one starter. He has to be your game one starter. But watching last night and the way it unraveled, and yeah, his defense didn't help him, I couldn't help but think back to the conversation I had last week, that phone call yesterday at the morning show, and listening to the morning show react to it again today. Should I be more concerned about it? Is there a shred of doubt in putting that level of pressure on Christopher Sanchez to be that guy for this team? I can't yet get there because I've seen so much from him this year that I feel like this, if we're talking about an overreaction today, that would be the overreaction. For me to start to cast doubt on what I've seen for months from Christopher Sanchez because of one tough outing, that would be me overreacting. But I can't say the thought didn't cross my mind after that conversation last week, hearing that phone call yesterday and watching last night, that I didn't put all of it together and have that thought last night of, you know, I really hope that I'm not just brushing aside what is a concern. And I'd be curious for you out there at 610-632-0975. If you do have that concern with him, given the lack of postseason experience and given the fact that he's been a luxury for this team. He is now the necessity for this team. He is the one that will swing the series one way or another with his game one start. And that, to me, is something that I took for granted of like, well, obviously he's pitched so well. And then you watch last night, and I think about the conversations I've had last week. And it leads me down the path of maybe I am too sure of something good. But I can't quite overreact yet to what I saw last night on the Sanchez side of things. I'll react in proper form here to the overall picture here of them once again going up to Citi Field and struggling. But I'm curious for you. Does it concern you, the lack of experience of being that lead guy for a team? For Sanchez, 610-632-0975. We'll continue with the Phillies conversation throughout the show, but coming up, it is roster cutdown day. Where will this Eagles team go? Is there a move to be made? We spoke to Jeff Mosher yesterday of Inside the Birds, PhillyVoice.com, and he gave us a couple of ideas of where they could go before they have to cut down to 53. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through the midday show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The summer
On the Fanatic, I'm Ray Dunn taking you through it. Be joined by Amy Fadul the next 2 days. Excited to see Amy. Amy did a tremendous job today on Kincade and Salciunas. Big Birdstown Hall for her today. So we'll get her tomorrow and Thursday. And then you get Dee and Kevin coming up on Friday. So just a program in for the rest of the week. Coming up at 11:25, we'll be joined by Tim Kelly of On Pattison to talk about this Phillies team, the struggles in New York, the fact that Rob Thompson made a joke at his expense over the weekend. And then we got Temple head football coach Casey Keeler coming up at 1:25. So fun rest of the show coming your way. After what was not a fun night last night, we got some people on the text line 610-632-0975 chiming in on the Phillies struggles and the disgusting. Disgusting feel like the right word? Disgusting would be the word I use.
Feels
lost last night to the Mets.
First one, no name on this one, says, if the Phillies lose tonight, Ray isn't allowed to go on Wednesday.
If the Phillies lose tonight, that I can't go tomorrow? I don't think that's the case, because at this point, I have a winning record this year. I feel like, if anything, them losing, I should go Wednesday because I need to go. I got a tweet last night. Someone tweeted me immediately as everything started to unravel. I think it was when I tweeted out that it was time for Mano to go, which, by the way, that's on me. Hand up. I should have never fought to keep him on the roster over Ross. I should have been right there. It's on me. They listen too much to me on this program. That's what it was. We got Draven checking in. Bring your good mojo to that. Okay, I can't read that on the air. On Wednesday, Ray. Yeah, I got that tweet immediately. So, someone believes that me going is actually a good thing to whoever that texter is. If they lose tonight, I have news for all of you. I'm still going tomorrow night.
And if they win tonight?
I'm still going tomorrow night.
Just thought you wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
Other texter, Sean from Cinnaminson, checking in, says, I want to see the Phillies win the World Series. Obviously, we all do, but games like last night make us overreact. This Phillies team, as constructed over the past 3 years, has wilted every big game, every big moment. Why can't we beat an average team like New York? Everyone else beats them. They played soft and fell apart up there, and it's frustrating. No hits from the fourth inning on, poor pitching after the third. Get your bleep together. And thank you for actually putting a bleep, Sean.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Shout out Sean on that one. Yes, remember, we are kind of like Ron Burgundy here. If you put it on that teleprompter, we will read it, especially when it comes to the text line. So anytime you guys curse on the text line, it becomes a game for us to try and read past it, like I had to read past that tweet. Sean brings up something very interesting. In my tweet at the end of last season, when they lost, it was that game against the Mets, Game 4. It was like a Wednesday night. I remember just firing off this tweet and like just kind of putting the phone down of like, I know what we're talking about tomorrow. I need to leave that alone. You know, like I kind of need to just get a few hours away from this before we go back into it tomorrow. And I tweeted out that this core had bashed them back into relevance and never captured the magic long enough to really win something. You know, they captured the magic long enough to get a pennant in 2022, but not long enough to win a World Series. I also think, as a part of that tweet, I wrote, they flipped the script in every way. Meaning, every time they were favored to do something, they failed. And every time they were the underdog, save that 2022 World Series, but if you want to say they went up 2-1, they had an opportunity to take care of business there. 2-1, 2 more home games. They could have at least had a series lead going back to Houston, and they didn't. Every time they became the favorites, they wilted. And every time they went in the underdog, they won. They went in last night as a hot baseball team, as the leaders in this division. And for a night, they wilted. So to what Sean said, I can't really sit here today and yeah, you're wrong on that one. Look at how great this season's been. They're a good baseball team. They still have a shot, a much slimmer shot without their A's. But I can't really fight back with all that much vigor to Sean. Someone put it in the YouTube chat. We also need the Phillies to win, so Ray's just happier. I will say, the traffic again got to me. And I made the joke yesterday. Someone came after me that I was like anti-education. I want to be very clear on this one. Very pro-education. Keep the kids should go to school. However, when it impacts my commute the way it has the last 2 days, and they shut down roads unrelated to the schools, that's when I started to get upset. My 20-minute drive today became 45. Someone's like, I have an hour-long commute. You do. I'm sorry. I'm going to complain on my behalf for a second. Now, real quick. Yesterday we had Jeff Mosher on for Inside the Bird. And of course, Philly Voice. And today's roster cutdown day, he spoke about where the Eagles may go ahead of the 4 o'clock deadline.
Talk to some teams around the league. I get a pretty good idea of what the Eagles are looking at, how he's making calls. He always does. Wouldn't surprise me if there was some edge depth movement. I thought that there would be some movement on the offensive line. And obviously, Fred Johnson's back. Maybe even on the interior offensive line, where right now your next man up, I'm going to say it's Matt Pryor. I mean, obviously, we're waiting to see what happens with Brett Toth. I have a hard time believing he'd be the next man up at either left or right guard if Dickerson can't play or if Steen gets hurt. I think it will be Matt Pryor because he has more experience at a decent camp, decent enough to what I think is land on that 53. We'll see what happens here. But that would be the areas. And if there's a corner out there, a starting caliber corner to get who's available, sort of like the way C.J. Gardner-Johnson became available to the Eagles a couple of years ago when the Saints and he couldn't reach an agreement. If there is that kind of corner, Howie's got a lot of draft picks still, and he can use that to really shore up the position if he wants to. But like I mentioned with edge, and same thing with corner, teams aren't really jumping to chomping at the bit to give them away, and especially not to the Eagles. So it's going to be hard work for Howie in that department.
It's going to be hard work for sure. And I don't think we've hit I know Howie's had to answer the question a few times. Do you think teams are starting to ignore your calls when you place the call? I don't think necessarily. I think that's more like a movie script for us to go to. But I do think it's going to be more difficult because people they've got the embarrassment of riches. He might have to outbid someone else for what someone else could get a little bit cheap. But I want to set the line, and I'm curious. You could text in at 610-632-0975. Let's just go a half. Over under a half a trade made today. So do you think they're making a deal? Do you think they're not making a deal by the time 4 o'clock happens?
I'm going under. I think some of the moves they already made or have been made already. I think if there is a deal, it's probably them trading away someone rather than keeping someone, just because of the amount of depth at maybe one position opposed to another.
So I understand the logic of going the under there, and that almost feels like it feels like the right answer. So maybe I'm talking myself into excitement here, and I need something more, and maybe my own what I've placed out there and what I need is what I'm speaking to here. I think I would go the over because I think they're going to try and address the edge rusher position. They made 5 trades already since the start of camp? 3 on Sunday, and then Mechie and Bennett. That's a lot. But I think that they could still address the edge rusher. I think they're set at corner. I don't necessarily feel good about corner, but I think they've decided they're set there.
I agree.
I think they are somewhat set at safety, even though I could see them try to address that. Offensive line, I think Fred Johnson kind of calms the waters on what they have. I'm going to go over. I'm curious for people. Do you think you're seeing a trade today? If 4 o'clock comes around today, not that I think, they're landing someone incredible and the Hendrickson thing got taken care of. I was waiting for the angry tweet look at all that time you wasted yesterday talking about Trey Hendrickson. I saw Bill Barnwell write about it. It excited me. By the way, how many years did he get?
1.
Oh.
Only this year.
Oh. So he would just give him money, would have been happy. Okay. All right. Whatever. Coming up next. You saw it. I saw it. We'll react to it. The NFL Top 100. Unveiled Jalen Hurts' ranking. I'll react to it next. Man, can I just talk about Jalen Hurts playing football? Why are there so many lists? Save us from this hell. I'm Ray Dunn. Take it through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Bills lose their 8th game in a row at Citi Field. This update is brought to you by Temple Athletics. The 2025 Temple football season is here. Don't miss your chance to catch the new head coach, Casey Keeler, and the Owls in action at Lincoln Financial Field. Get your tickets now at owlstix.com. thefanatic.com, and he'll also be joining us in the 1 o'clock hour, too. Christopher Sanchez, not a great start last night for him. He had one of his worst starts of the year, and the bullpen wasn't great either, but their top-end guys were not used yesterday, and hopefully they'll be able to bounce back today. The Phils look to turn things around with Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phils and Sean Manaea for the Mets. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10. Today is cut-down day in the NFL. The Eagles have until 4 p.m. to get its roster down to 53. Some notable players already waived are Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green, who was in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade last spring. This update is also sponsored by Thrivent. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than money. It's a way to support the people, causes, and community and you love. The most important thing isn't what you're planning for, it's who. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect at thrivent.com. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Closing in on the 11 o'clock hour here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn taking you through the midday show. Tuned in to WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. I'll get to my thoughts on this Hurts ranking in a second. Because, Sean, the world needs more lists. I'm always saying it.
I've heard you say it numerous times.
If we could find a way to rank Jalen Hurts every day of the year, why wouldn't we?
Why not?
Why not?
Rank the top 10 quarterbacks, rank the top 100 players. Let's do it.
Give me your top 10 Jalen Hurts moments and your top 5 Jalen Hurts commercials and the top 5 quarterbacks you'd like to have a beer with and the top 27 people in Philadelphia sports that would be cool to hang out with. Give me any... Just... What do you love about Jalen Hurts?
I don't know if I can even give you 5 commercials he's been in. He only does a limited amount.
I don't know, man. My brain's just broken by the fact that we've ranked him out a million times here. It's how many days? 9 days?
9 days.
Please, God, let it be football season. Then we can react to where I was on the field against the Cowboys. You know, if we were still reacting to his last game, we'd still be reacting to the Super Bowl MVP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to ask you something a little off the wall here. Have you seen the Southwest Airlines rule changes coming?
No.
Because they used to be the pick your own seat.
Yeah, they did.
That's gone. Starting
Wow.
in January, that's out. Which, personally, I'm okay with.
Okay.
I understand financially the way they end up bracketing things out, that they had, people maybe got better seats than they did before with the whole pick your own seat thing. I am too kind for one of those scenarios. In a pick your own seat thing, I would never be the one that lies about where I am on the list. So I always ended up towards the back of the line, and I always ended up with a bad seat in the middle. So for me, being able to, have a assigned seat, that was good for me. I'm too soft, really, when it comes down to it, to
Sounds
get my
like
own
it.
seat. I'm just too nice. It hurts.
Yeah, definitely want my own seat. Window or aisle's fine with me.
But now they are also getting rid of their passenger. So this is their plus-size passengers rule here. Where flyers who, and this is their words, encroach upon the neighboring seat will be required to purchase an extra seat in advance.
I don't know how I like that.
Currently, you can proactively purchase an additional seat with the chance to get refunded or request a free extra seat at the airport. Now you have to buy it in advance, and the only way you get your money back is if the flight is not fully booked. Which is like, come on.
You're gonna do what? Are you struggling
have
for
to-
money that much that you need people to buy extra
Exactly.
seats? Is
That's
that
exactly
we're
what
doing?
this is. That, and they're also basically saying that the only way you get your extra seat here is if we don't do a good enough job selling out this flight. So you're just rooting for people not to. You're gonna have to end up taking more random flights than what would be the most packed flights. I understand. There's times you've been sitting probably in a seat where someone's kind of encroaching on your space a little bit, but this
Sure.
seems like a step too far.
Yeah,
I'm against
and
this.
I mean, not that I'm on the that would really affect me to buy a second seat, but that still sucks for other people that have to now.
Right. And this is Southwest now has abandoned everything. Their bags fly free is gone. The choosing of the seats thing is gone.
Why does
this
anyone wanna-
policy is gone. Southwest is a totally different airline.
Why does anyone want to choose them now at this point?
I don't know. Are we sponsored by Southwest?
No.
Okay, sounds good. They're not my airline of choice either. I'm an American guy. Which,
I am also an American.
yeah. But I've flown them now because, when I fly for work. And Southwest is going to be totally different from last season to this season if I end up on a Southwest flight. And to be honest with you, I think that's it for me. I think I'm out. I think I'm out entirely on the old Southwest experience.
Yeah. Other than times you might have to.
No. There's no have to on this one.
No.
No. I will find somewhere else to fly. Definitively. I've made that decision. I'm out.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
As soon as someone from operations sends me a Southwest flight, I will board it. I'm too nice to say no.
That's what I thought.
Just like I'm too nice in any of these scenarios to pick my own seat, to tell someone that they're a little too close to me. I can't. I will suffer in silence. That is always my way of going about things. I'm too nice to tell someone. Like when I see these policies, I'm like they're hurting someone else. I don't care about myself in this one. I was like, that person needs that extra comfort. I think they deserve the free extra seat. That's just my personal take on the matter. Now, my personal take on the matter for Jalen Hurts here. I cannot believe that after winning Super Bowl MVP, this man has dropped 4 spots on the NFL Top 100. I get it. When other players are looking at Jalen Hurts, they say, look at everything he has around him. Look at all the help he's got. Look at all the support he's got. Look at how good his team is. Quarterbacks, in their mind, think that they could do his job. And if you don't believe me, just think about any of the former quarterbacks that have taken aim at him. Chris Sims couldn't complete a pass, but he was obviously, in his head, he thinks that if he was given a Hurts situation, he'd succeed. Chase Daniel, another guy who's a career backup, thinks that if he was in Jalen Hurts' scenario, he could succeed. Go down the list of all the former quarterbacks that are upset about him, and I'm sure that current quarterbacks feel that way about him. I'm sure that plenty of players around the NFL feel that way about him. The thing is, I don't know if there's any precedent for a guy who wins Super Bowl MVP to drop on the NFL Top 100. If there's any precedent for a guy that last year was 15th on this list after the way his team collapsed in the second half of the season, he dropped 12 spots to 15 the last year. He now drops 4 more spots after his team wins a Super Bowl, and he wins Super Bowl MVP. I understand I'm supposed to give you like a very, very strong defense of Jalen Hurts and sit here and say, how could they do this to him? I'm just more exhausted by this conversation, to be quite frank with you. I don't think we've made any progress in talking about quarterbacks over the last 6 months. I don't think we've made any sort of headway in figuring out what exactly Jalen Hurts is in the NFL landscape over the last 6 months. What we've done is people that didn't like him from the jump watched him win a Super Bowl and found a way to discredit him. On the other side, people that liked him will continue to sit here and say, hey, the last time I saw him, he won a Super Bowl. It has been the biggest non-story of stories for me, for us to talk about over the last 6 months, to be quite frank with you. Because the guy has proven you can build a winner around him. The guy has shown you that he's going to show up in the biggest stages. And that's all I really need. That's what I need from a quarterback. You can build a winner around him, and he can show up on the biggest stage. Do I have to guess how he would look if he wore another team's jersey? No. He's wearing the Eagles jersey. He will be out there for the Philadelphia Eagles in 9 days. He was the Super Bowl MVP of the Philadelphia Eagles the last time we saw him on the field. I've watched him as a starting quarterback for how long at this point? They've been how good with him as the quarterback? Sure, it doesn't look this way. Where they ran the ball more last year. Whoa. They win. He wins. And, he only threw for 18 touchdown passes. He threw for less than 3,000 yards. All right, his job is to get the team down the field. Did the team get down the field? Good. Does he have the arm of this guy? No. Does that guy have the legs of him? No. Does he have the decision-making of this guy? No. Does he make the mistakes that guy does? No. You want to put the top 4 quarterbacks on a pedestal outside, away from him? All right, fine. I can accept that with Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Jackson. There's not anyone else in the NFL right now that I would trade for Jalen Hurts. So if that puts him at 19 on the top 100, I could tell you this just reeks of a lot of guys in the NFL jealous of the situation he's in. That's my take on it. 19, congrats, all right? He's got the ring. They won. I'm so exhausted by it, Sean Rodman. I'm so exhausted by it. They know you can win with them. I know he's a good quarterback. And to see him fall 4 spots, it just feels like an impossible thing. So I just throw my hands up in the air and say there's just a lot of guys jealous of the situation he's in and jealous of the fact of what he's doing.
It also has to be some people are just looking at the numbers, too. And, yeah, his numbers were down last year, but they won more games last year. He's more effective last year, what he was asked to do as well. They also had a running back that ran for 2,000 yards who hasn't come up on this list yet that I'm sure we'll see in the next week or so. I'm tired of these lists, I would say, as well. And I know there was another list that came out from, I believe it was Fox Sports, either last night or earlier today, about ranking the top 10 quarterbacks and finally ranked them accordingly as well, it feels like. With Jalen Hurts in the top 5 of quarterbacks and Justin Herbert was all the way down at 10 and so on and so on. It is tiring to go through these lists and over again. It feels like he's disrespected because people are just jealous of the system that he's in and the situation he's in. More should be the better wording for it, because they win a lot of football games. They just won the Super Bowl. And a lot of people around the league are jealous right now of the Eagles. We even talked about it the segment prior with Howie Roseman. Our team's trading with him.
And the YouTube chat's going here with, oh, well, the rankings, they're doing them in December. They're voting on them before the Super Bowl. Okay, fine. Like, if they voted around the time where they complain about the passing offense, I don't know what you want from me. Like, if they voted after that Panthers game, okay, good. I guess he dropped 4 spots and it's justified. Like, the point more to this is this top 100 thing comes at the end of an offseason where I felt like the entire offseason conversation nationally was like, Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. What does it mean? It's like, he won the freaking Super Bowl. I don't know what more you want from me on that one. Are there 4 quarterbacks above him definitively in my mind in the NFL? Yes. Everyone else has enough flaws where I would say, step aside, I want this guy to be my quarterback. That's pretty much what it is. And as much as we want to talk about, hey, they had a great team in 2024, the team in 2023, incredibly flawed. They got to the postseason. I felt like a lot of that season was him doing a delicate balance of this offense stinks and I'm trying to carry it, and that defense also stinks and I'm trying to carry it, and they won 11 games. Like, when they had a really good team, he capitalized on having that really good team and won the Super Bowl. When they didn't, they were still a postseason team. That, to me, again, a sign of a guy that I'm happy to have as my quarterback. That I think if you look at, again, outside the top 4, there's no one else that sticks out as like, oh, yeah, I want to go in this season with them instead of Jalen Hurts. But, all right, coming up next. The Athletic, we went through the win projection last week. Austin Mock put together the whole projections for the NFC. Eagles are the NFC favorites. I mentioned question marks with quarterbacks. I'm curious for you. When you look around the NFC, especially if we have questions about the Eagles, are the Eagles just the favorite because we could pretty much poke a hole in every single team? Is this just, not that it's a bad conference, not that it's a down year for a conference, but who the hell's going to compete with them? I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays right here at 97.5 The Fanatic.
Do you
Tim Kelly of On Patterson talking about the Phils. Real quick here, because of course I bring up Hurts in a list, and you can't bring up Hurts on a list without Herbert coming up just naturally in our YouTube chat, because that's just in life.
Well, I mentioned it too.
Yeah, okay, so you as well. But like, I feel like just this conversation ends up taking a turn where naturally the Hurts Herbert thing happens. Did you see the Herbert picture while he was out on the date with one Madison Beer?
Was this the leg sleeve one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong. Decisively. You can't. No. I don't care how great an athlete you are, how deep you are into training. No leg sleeve on the date. That violation. You can't be rocking a leg sleeve on a date.
Does that show an injury?
Well, I don't care. Like, I guess if you're hurt,
knowing that cameras are going to be around, I don't know if
Right.
he's hurt at all. I don't know.
I feel like you can't go leg sleeve.
But if there were an injury, would that allow the leg sleeve in your mind?
I guess. I mean, yeah, I guess I can't be insensitive to the guy's health if he's hurt. But assuming what we know about his health right now, that's got to be a violation.
Yeah, probably.
That's like, you can't go leg sleeve on a date. But they also said throw on some khakis. Are shorts on a date a violation?
I guess it depends where you're going.
Right. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, you're in California too, so it's pretty hot.
Yeah,
If
but it's not humidly hot. Like, that's a place I think actually you could wear.
Pants on a date.
Yeah. Because it's hot, but it's not like that overbearing. Maybe it is. I don't know. When I've been out, I was more of a San Diego guy, so maybe L.A. is a little hotter in that case. I don't know.
I don't know. I only had a layover there once, so
I was
can't
in
say.
L.A. for a week, and I was able to wear pants to work when I was out there. So, like, long pants. I was always wearing pants. I want to be very, very clear on that one. But the shorts on a date are not is that wrong?
I guess it depends how long they've been dating for, too. Like, we don't necessarily know. Do we?
No. I mean,
seen spotted on a couple dates, but if they've been dating for a long time, then yeah, I don't think it matters. If this is a new thing, then yeah, you should be wearing pants on a date.
So you think early on you have to wear pants to date on that one? There's no shorts rule. I don't know about that. Like a lunch date, do you have to go full out like pants?
I mean, you could wear just like jeans or something. You don't have to wear
Jeans to like a summer
full-on-
lunch date? I feel like I feel like you could
or
go
like
with
the
that.
chino pants. One of those.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they
you
also
go
have like
chinos, huh?
those like you could do like the semi-sport kind of sporty look that has a nice look to it, like Lululemon has, or one of those athlete wear. I don't even know what the word is.
Athleisure.
That's what I was looking
That's
for.
what
Thank
you're
you.
looking for. Because I am a fashion icon
Guru.
when it comes
Yes.
to that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the phones here because we did get David in Drexel Hill reacting to Hurts falling at 19. Oh, no, he was 19th on the NFL Top 100. By the way, he was on the NFL Top 100. For anyone that was concerned out there about him not being on the NFL Top 100, he was on the Top 100, okay? Just so you know. Let's go to Drexel Hill, talk with David. David, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hey, it doesn't bother me that they ranking him 19 because I just don't even care no more. Because when I look at Jalen and I see a guy that's been to 2 Super Bowls in his first 4 years, A.J. Brown, they say is great. Don't they say A.J. is great? Well, how do A.J. get great? Because Jalen was throwing to him. He set that record, before last? Because of Jalen throwing to him. You know, and then here's what people really get confused, even though they say, well, the running game, and that's why he didn't throw as much, but they still hold it against Jalen. Well, how about this? As good as Barkley was for us in the Super Bowl when they shut Barkley down, what happened? Jalen threw the ball out of this world and got us a Super Bowl. And here's the thing they always mess up on when they talk about Jalen, and you talk about these other quarterbacks and their success with, say, touchdowns. Jalen had 15 on the ground. Let's add his 15 to the 18 he had.
Right,
Then
and
he's
I think
right there in the top 5 probably for quarterback.
And that's the
with
thing that drives me
touchdowns.
nuts when they start talking about touchdowns. People get upset about the tush push. And David, I appreciate you checking in with us. I want to just also take a step there. With AJ is an elite receiver for sure. And will be an elite receiver, I think, just across the board. Hurts has to get him the football for sure. So the Hurts, part of his greatness does come from Hurts getting him the football. But he is a great receiver, point blank, period. But he does hit on a point there that I think we continue to just kind of look past, in that Jalen, not just his running numbers and not just the running touchdowns, but also the fact that the running game, you have to respect Hurts while addressing Barkley. You see what happens when you sell it to stop Barkley. The Rams learned that. Hurts goes 50 yards when you thought that his knee was in trouble. Like, I remember that. Remember that week after the Packers game where you're like, oh, I don't know about his knee. Is he going to be all right? Is he going to be okay for the divisional round? And then he just runs for 50 yards, scores a touchdown, open that one up. And it's like, all right, well, never mind.
I got reminded of it actually yesterday watching that top 100 clip of Jalen Hurts. Jameis Winston actually mentioning it, and then they kind of showed a little clip of it as well.
Can I be honest?
Too much Jameis Winston?
No, actually, I don't mind it. I felt bad, honestly, for the Giants quarterback room. Yeah, Tommy DeVito today gets cut, and they had the video of Jameis, Jackson Dart, and Tommy DeVito. And it's like, if you're not going to win, you might as well have fun. And you just know those three guys are sitting in the back of the quarterback room laughing at Russell Wilson. You know that it's just kind of like Russell Wilson's kind of the teacher's pet of that room. And the three of them are just trying to enjoy and have a good time. And they're just laughing at him. The three of them seem like they were good buddies. And maybe DeVito comes back on the practice squad. But that quarterback room, you could not have a stronger outlier of a room than Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, and Tommy DeVito.
Don't we get to see that on Hard Knocks? NFL East, right? NFL or NFC East, I should say.
Yeah, I guess we'll get to see that on Hard Knocks. I'm sure they won't make Russ Wilson look like a total loser on there. I mean, he does that himself. Mr. Unlimited. So glad they got him in the division. 2 games against Russell Wilson this year, please. That's all I'm asking for. Don't let Jackson Dart start too early. All right? Give us Mr. Unlimited. Twice.
Just done by week 8. That's all you need.
Yeah.
8 starts.
8 starts for him. That's about what he had in Pittsburgh last year, right? About 10.
He had about 10, I think.
Yeah, because he got the second half of the season. Just real quick, with that note of Jameis and that NFL Top 100 clip. Is it wrong that I haven't watched any clip, any NFL Top 100 content?
No.
I can't bring myself to get around to it.
Might have something for you with that at the 1 o'clock hour, though, for the
okay, never mind. Forget it. I'm a huge fan. Yes, the Rodman Report coming your way at 1 o'clock. Coming your way at noon, the NFL Notes at noon. And coming your way in 5 minutes, Tim Kelly, Vaughn Patterson, covers the Phils. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through middays right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils lose its 8th game in a row at Citi Field. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Christopher Sanchez had one of his worst starts of the season, going 5 2/3 innings, allowing 8 hits, 6 runs. 5 of those were earned, 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. The bullpen wasn't great either, but their top-end guys were not used yesterday. ESPN's Tim Kirchin joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday on if he believes the Phillies have a good enough bullpen for the playoffs.
I think it's enough. And when you have that big-time closer who is durable and can work a lot, Duran can, that's a real bonus. When you have starting pitchers can give you 6 most nights out, that's really helpful too.
And the Phillies look to turn things around tonight with Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phils and Sean Manaea for the Mets. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10. Coming up next, Tim Kelly, Vaughn Patterson will join us for Mets-Phillies talk. Today, it is cut-down day for the NFL. The Eagles have until 4 p.m. to get its roster down to 53. Some notable players already cut were Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green, who was acquired in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade last spring. This update is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with national LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code RADIO for an extra 5% off. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
He always has energy, but he seemed a little more hype as he was going around the bases. Like, do you think it's just the payoff?
Have you ever hit a home run?
No,
I haven't hit too many, but it feels pretty good.
There was the exchange over the weekend. Rob Thompson and our next guest, Tim Kelly from On Patterson, does a tremendous job covering the Phillies, but homerless in his career. Tim, how are you today?
I'm good. The more that I thought about it, like it depends how far back you're willing to go. Like if you talk about like the 100-foot field you played on when you're like 6, yeah, I hit some home runs, but I figured in a major league press conference that probably wasn't what they were looking for.
Were you worried about the follow-up there from Rob? Him asking where you hit the home run and then having to tell him that you were going all the way back to Little League?
I didn't even think that deeply into it. I figured just respond, and it's not usually, you're not usually called on to respond to questions in press conferences, so it was a little different than usual. And actually, the next morning, I walked into the clubhouse, and Rob Thompson's not usually like in the clubhouse, but he was standing in there talking to somebody, and he just goes, "There he is, homerless."
I love that. Rob now just berating you for your lack of home runs in your life. But it was a fun exchange, and it would be a lot more fun to be talking Phillies today if we had a fun game to talk about from last night. So I just want to start with the bigger picture here of another loss in Citi Field for this group. What is it about the trip to New York and this Mets team that you think they are just unable to just mentally overcome it?
Well, I mean, they've had stretches like this at other stadiums. The first 4 or 5 years of Truist Park, they really struggled. They had certainly a period where they couldn't play in Miami, and I generally think these are coincidental and they solve itself. But they have unquestionably struggled mightily at Citi Field recently, and I don't know if there's one thing you can point to and say this needs to be different. Through the first 3 or 4 innings of the game yesterday, it looked like that was, if anyone was going to win 13-3, it was going to be the Phillies. So they just got to get back, hope no cleats get stuck in the ground, and that there's not 15-minute delays for cameras in center field tonight, and hope for the best.
So last night you obviously saw just the way everything unraveled for Christopher Sanchez. After the game, Bryce Harper's talked about potentially the idea of tipping pitches. What did you see in the start for Sanchez?
Yeah, it did seem like after that moment where his cleat got stuck in the ground that things just weren't the same for him. I don't think it's a huge cause for concern. It just wasn't a great outing. Now, I tend to think, and I just wrote an article about this on Patterson, the NL Cy Young Award race, if you're still clinging onto that, probably not going to happen. Like, he might finish second, but Paul Skeens is going to run away with it. But I still think people should generally feel really good about Christopher Sanchez as the ace. Obviously, when Christopher Sanchez was the number 2 to Zach Wheeler, it was even better. But Sanchez is still one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's probably been a top 5 pitcher this year. Just wasn't a great outing last night, but overall still been a tremendous season.
And again, this is one start, so not to overreact to the Christopher Sanchez start from last night. But I had a conversation with someone last week. We had a caller to the station earlier today that got to the idea of just the lack of postseason experience and now how much more is on Christopher Sanchez's shoulders. How do you think, being someone that's obviously been around him and covered this team, how do you think he handles maybe the weight of now having to be the ace for this Phillies team?
I think he's 100% capable of handling it, and maybe he wasn't 2 years ago. Like, you can see the presence with him has kind of changed. He's always been pretty stoic, but there is more of like a quiet confidence now, and I think he's capable of handling that. Again, you would rather have Zach Wheeler's number 1 and Christopher Sanchez as number 2, but there's a lot of teams, including teams that are going to be in the playoffs, that would be ecstatic to have Christopher Sanchez taking the ball for them in Game 1.
Someone that we are not ecstatic to see take the mound for the Phillies at this point is Jordan Romano. What is his, I don't want to necessarily call it long-term, but I guess future, as it looks the rest of the season with this team following what we saw last night?
Well, he hadn't pitched in close to a week, so for those upset with Rob Thompson, like that's pretty indicative of him being aware of how poorly this has gone, and clearly he is aware. He didn't sign Jordan Romano, and it probably hasn't entirely, if at all, been his decision to keep Jordan Romano to this point. There was a month of May where Jordan Romano looked excellent. He does have a history of having been a really good reliever, but I agree. Probably for the last month, it has been clear, if not longer, but for the last month, it has certainly been clear. Whatever they thought they had a chance to kind of salvage in the second half of the season, it hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. So whether they move on from him, I don't know. They've kept him in Kepler this year after moving on from a bunch of high-priced one-year signings during the season the last few years. So I'm inclined to think that's a decision above Rob Thompson and maybe even above Dave Dombrowski. But I do think it's getting to the point with Romano where you can't justify it. And frankly, it's been at that point. But it's getting to the point where even if you wanted to dig your heels in on it and just power through, I don't think you can do that anymore.
We're talking to Tim Kelly of On Patterson, covers the Phillies. Where could they go after moving on from Romano? What do you see as the logical move within the organization if they were to decide, you know what, it's time to just end this experiment?
Well, I have to look at the exact amount of days Max Lazar has been down, but I think he's the obvious one to call back up whenever he's eligible to come back up. Alan Ronhill's a guy at AAA that's pitched some innings for you. So at this point, when you have an 8.5 ERA, it almost doesn't matter. No, you're not going to get worse than that most likely. So, and the guy you bring up is probably not going to be somebody that is pitching the eighth inning for you in the postseason. But it's deflating when Jordan Romano comes onto the mound at this point. And it's not to say he hasn't worked hard or been a good teammate or anything like that, but it's just been a disaster of a season. And you almost feel bad for him to a degree at this point that, like, you're continuing to put him into this situation. So I think for all parties involved, a clean break is probably what's best.
And let's keep it conversation with what's going on the mound. This is a two-part for you. First, if it was up to you at this current moment, what would your postseason rotation look like? And what would you hope that this looks like in 6 weeks for the Phillies based on whatever we get the rest of the way from this rotation?
Well, if it was up to me, or if I'm talking about what you hope in 6 weeks, you hope Aaron Nola pitches well enough that he can be your Game 2 starter. Right now, though, I don't think you're yet at that point, although he looked much better in his most recent start. I get it's maybe not ideal to have 3 straight lefties to open a series, but those are your best pitchers right now. I think you roll with it. You break up Sanchez and Luzardo. Ranger Suarez is a lefty, but very different pitcher than those two. So I think you go Sanchez Game 1, Ranger Suarez Game 2, Jesus Luzardo Game 3, and you go from there.
And you talked about the hope of Nola getting himself to be that Game 2 starter. If Nola works his way into that rotation, would that bump Suarez back to Game 3 for you?
Yeah, I would have to look at the exact layout of the series because depending on when you start Ranger Suarez or when he's scheduled to make a start, maybe he's available out of the bullpen. If he's going to pitch Game 3 or 4, maybe he's able to come in and pitch in relief in Game 1 if you need him. So that would kind of be how I determine it. They have liked to break up Sanchez and Luzardo this year, so that's something to keep in mind, but maybe not as important if you have Nola in between. So certainly Sanchez is Game 1, and after that I still think a lot of it's up for grabs. The fortunate part for you is that Jesus Luzardo has been really good the last month, and Ranger Suarez is the NL Player of the Week. So he had a really good homestand after a pretty disastrous start to the second half.
All right, and let's take you to what they're calling a rotation, and it's the outfield. I know you and I, outside of these airwaves, have talked plenty about what they're doing with this outfield and some of the conversations that they're having within that organization. What do you see right now in the way they're managing this outfield, and do you anticipate this being the plan the rest of the way?
I do anticipate it being the plan the rest of the way, and I asked Rob Thompson that last week, and he said yes. I think at this point, Justin Crawford is probably 2026. That can change, but that's my guess for now. That these are the 5 you're rolling with, and I think it's really up for grabs. Brandon Marsh is going to play against right-handed pitchers, but if you get in a series against lefties, I don't think you're going to see him a ton. Nick Castellanos is clearly no longer someone that's just penciled in every single day. To me, I think Harrison Bader is such a good defender in center field and provides enough offensively that your best lineup might just be with him in center field every day. and then platooning Marsh and Kepler in left field, and in right field then going with Castellanos and Kepler in right field, and then in left field Kepler and Weston Wilson. So I know people don't like platoons. Platoons, though, are not unique to the Phillies. The Dodgers platoon, like lots of other teams, are going with different lineups based on whether you have righties or lefties. And the Phillies don't, in my mind, have like outfielders right now. They don't have Julio Rodriguez or Ronald Acuna or someone that is good enough or productive enough that you just pencil them in every day right now. So for the time being, this is what makes the most sense.
I am eternally grateful for you mentioning that you think Bader should be an everyday center fielder. I'm just collecting at this point Phillies beats that align with that one, because Todd Zalecki last week validated my viewpoint on that. You validated that today for me on that. I appreciate you doing that service for me so I can replay that audio 6 more times throughout today's show. The last thing I have for you, looking at the NL East, we had this conversation last week. Kevin Cooney was on with me, and we went back and forth over just how you declare a race over. And obviously, with the way this series has started, would anyone be surprised if it's only a 4-game lead by the end of this series come Wednesday night? I don't think so. When you look at the chances to take this division, how much further do the Phillies have to take this before you feel comfortable that they are going to be the NL East champs?
Well, if the Phillies had swept this series, I would have felt pretty comfortable about it. Obviously, the Phillies famously or infamously, depending on your perspective, were 7 back with 17 to go in 2007 and erased it. But stuff like that doesn't really happen. And also, in today's world, whoever didn't win the division would have just been a wild card winner, so it wouldn't have meant as much. But I think they have to be 7 or 8 up heading into September, and they're in a really good situation if they are that. It's difficult to call it over, but I think if the Phillies win these next 2 out of 3, it's pretty close to over. You're talking 90% chance to win the division. So I would be really shocked at this point if the Mets end up winning the NL East, but the Phillies have to take care of business these next 2 days. They had a chance yesterday to kind of step on their throats, and they didn't do it.
They did not do that, and if any of the show is shown so far, still not thrilled about everything I had to watch last night unfold, and not thrilled about the way they're playing up in New York, but always thrilled to talk to you, Tim. Appreciate you making the time for us.
All right, for sure. Thanks, Ray.
Tim Kelly of On Pattison joining us there to talk some Phillies, break down what he had to say. 2 things I loved. The last 2 questions. Mentioned Harrison Bader is an everyday guy for this team because of the defense. Love that. Even splits. Put him out there every day. And 2 or 3, you feel like it's over. What did we say yesterday, Sean Rodman?
2 or 3. Feel like it's over.
And now I have to wait till Thursday to make that call. They couldn't just take the first 2 of the series and us show up tomorrow and declare it. Nope. Couldn't do it for you. Oh, well, coming up, he mentioned the Bader thing every day when I asked him about it. The outfield. What does it look like? Tim Kirchin was on with the morning show yesterday. We'll play what he had to say about the platoons, and let's break down what we expect from this outfield the rest of the way. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, everybody, it's Bill.
101.5 The Fanatic, and reacting to just the absolute dreck we were subjected to of a baseball game last night, Phillies and Mets, and posing you the question, are you more bothered by the play on the field or just the overall mentality against the Mets? The overall mindset against the Mets? Because you could break down every little thing that went wrong for that team last night. When it comes down to it, to me, it looked like a team that's mind was elsewhere, was more focusing on the opponent instead of the actual task at hand. And that bothered me tremendously last night because the balk, complained about the mic out in center field, the botched rundown, all those things to me, there's just, again, the mentality of a team that's mind was elsewhere. More, we mentioned just how tight they can play when it comes to what you've seen over the last couple of years. And that looked like that last night. 3-0 lead evaporates and everything unravels from there. And it was really, really disappointing to see 6-22 in the last 28 up at Citi Field, 8 straight losses for this team. I understand on our text line at 610-632-0975. We got some people chiming in on the Phillies and Mets. Let's get to the text line.
Yes, we do. One person checking in, Norm from Mayfair, saying, when you go into a series at a place you can't win and your best pitcher gets his butt handed to him, you got to have a concern. Harper wearing Mets colors is also ridiculous. Why give them more an incentive?
Yeah, it was like it's the rivalry pack that he's putting out there. Like, oh, I'm wearing the other team's colors. It's like a fun little thing. Listen, if I stood by and was just like whatever with the lavender and just ridiculous colored equipment that Harrison Bader has, am I really going to be upset with the equipment that Harper's wearing? It's just an odd thing to be like, I'm just going to put on the rivals' colors to get in their head, man. I think you're overthinking that one a little bit, especially considering it seems like that team's the one in your head right now. I can understand why people are bothered by it, why people think it's corny. Kind of like it's a little strange. I don't really get it, but I guess I don't get the heated competition like them.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand the colorway that he's doing with the rivalry pack. I know he did it for the other NL East teams too, but at the same time, I'm not going to go overboard on it right now.
I would love to see the Marlins player that's like, ooh, Harper got us there by wearing our colors in this meaningless series at the end of the season. Like, getting them for all the NL East is a little try-hard, too. It's like, yeah. The national stuff, does he really need a pack made for that? He's got plenty of that stuff left over. I imagine he just goes through some of his stuff in storage, and he could probably just bring out some real Nationals gear if he wanted to really troll them. I don't know. It's just odd to me on that one. And what we got on Hurts ranking, because people, he was 19. Oh, no. He ended up in there, by the way. Again, I know there was just a subset of the Philadelphia that was very worried. And his name didn't come up. The guy that last year was 15th might not be on the list.
Well, Provolone Joe here saying that the only ranking any real Eagles fan cares about is that our squad is hoisting a Lombardi in February, and the team is ranked number 1. Period. End of story.
Oh, there you go.
So, not much to care about from Provolone Joe there.
Shout out Provolone Joe on that one. So, doesn't care about the ranking in the slightest. Well, what else we got on the ranking?
All right. One person that... This is C from Bucks County saying, winning with a QB and winning because of a QB are two different things. Is Hurts a good QB? Obviously. But when the team asks him to do less and they start winning more, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement. If your boss asks you to take less so that the show would be more successful, how would that make you look?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. I'm not going to make this about me. Because I would think that a lot of people are like, you know what, Ray, that question could be answered for you. So I'm going to walk around that question from C about myself and go back to the Hurts angle of this. I will ask you, Harbaugh and the Chargers last year with everybody's darling, Justin Herbert, that we all love. Where was that quarterback, or where was that defense ranked in terms of points allowed per game?
Wasn't it first?
First, yes. Good job on that one. And they went to more of a run-centric offense out there to cut down on his mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he keeps getting ranked ahead of him because he threw 4 interceptions in a postseason game. But he just has all the attributes.
They also
Here's the
drafted-
thing. The guys that you win because of are the 4 that I've put ahead of Hurts. The rest of the quarterbacks out there, I got plenty of different issues with when it comes to who they are. I already gave you the win because of. You can win because of Hurts. Can you win because of Hurts at the level of the other 4 guys? No, which is why I leave the other 4 guys ahead of him. The rest of the guys on these lists are the ones that I have issue with. The Herberts of the world. We have there's usually a month stretch every season where I'm like, is Stafford washed? Is he good? And I'm a Stafford guy. Jane Daniels, it's more of a, hey, show me back-to-back years thing. I have a lot of respect for what he is and what he's going to become in this league, but it's a show me again. Because you know who I really liked going into last year? C.J. Stroud. Gotta show me multiple years. We also saw it with Hurts. 2022 was great. 2023, show me year. There were some justifiable concerns coming out of that year. Still some justifiable concerns coming out last year. Not as justifiable as some of the concerns people throw out there, and certainly not justifiable to rip him the way that some people do and rip him down compared to the rest of the league. All right, coming up, speaking of the rest of the league, we got NFL notes at noon with our man Sean Rodman. The Rodman Report coming up at 1 o'clock, which I got a lot of reviews on the Rodman Report yesterday.
Willing to hear them.
Just don't go
Good
look
and
on
bad.
Yelp. Just don't go look
Don't
on
go
Yelp.
look on Yelp?
Yeah,
Okay.
No, I thought it was a 5-star job by you.
All right, that's nice.
I
of
thought
you.
it was a 5-star job by you. Coming up, mention the outfield thing. The Castellanos, I even missed what the excuse was yesterday for Castellanos not playing. But can we just admit that it's the right thing? And maybe, just maybe, against the righty the next time, Marshall sit down? Maybe we'll get Kepler out there. Like, at this point, this rotation is smart. I told you Tim Kirch had said something about in the morning show. I'll play that for you before the NFL notes at noon. I'm ready done taking you through middays right here. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils lose an 8th game in a row at Citi Field. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Christopher Sanchez had one of his worst starts of the season last night. Bullpen wasn't great either as well, and the Phillies look to turn things around tonight with Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phils and Sean Manaea for the Mets. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10. Today is cut-down day around the NFL. The Eagles have until 4 p.m. to get its roster down to 53. Some notable players already waived are Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green, who was in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade last spring. This update is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with national LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code radio for an extra 5% off. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Sorry, Mike Vito. You can't co-host the show. You got too much going on. All right? Please, you save your Hertz takes for the people in the hall. God, this guy. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays here. I love chasing Vito out of the studio. It's one of my favorite pastimes. We get you the NFL notes at noon. Come up in a second. And I don't know, I might be stepping on your toes here with this NFL notes at noon, Sean Rodman, but we got 2 former Eagles.
Yes.
Is that in the notes?
There's a couple of former Eagles in there, yes.
All right, so never mind. I won't mention it. Coming up in a few minutes, you'll find out what Eagles, former Eagles, are on the outside looking in at 53-man roster spots. Also, guys at positions that the Eagles might need help in. Would it be worth it? Would it not be worth it?
Could be.
Would we just kind of be throwing darts at the dartboard at that point? Maybe. And maybe it's just because you recognize the name that you might want their game. One of the guys that I saw released, I can guarantee you 75% of this fan base would say no. The other 25% liked the dyed hair. That's a tease for one of the names that you'll hear coming up at the NFL notes.
That you will.
At noon. But I did want to play this for you because Tim Kirchin was on with Kincade and Salciunas yesterday. Yesterday it was the Andrew and Andrew show. DeCecco and Salciunas. And they asked about this rotation of outfielders that they're going with. And is it sustainable? All these platoons sustainable to succeed at this point? Here's what Kirchin had to say about the Phillies outfield.
I think they should platoon because I'm just not sure they have 3 everyday outfielders who can do it against right-handed and left-handed pitching. But the good thing about the Phillies is they have thunder at positions that maybe others don't. In other words, they have a shortstop who's hitting 300, which is a very helpful thing. If Alec Boehm is back now, and if he starts to swing like he did at least at points last year, that's a huge bonus. You still got Schwarber and Harper. You still got the catcher who can hit. I still like where they are offensively, even with platoons in the outfield. You guys know this now. Baseball is a platoon sport for certain teams. Not every team is playing the same 9 guys every night. In fact, very few teams are. So is it an ideal situation? No, it's not. But can they score enough runs with platoon outfielders? I think they can.
It's very funny, that clip. There's one little thing, and this is my dumb brain working at time. Him saying the catcher that can hit is an all-time way to describe JT Realmuto. It might be the best way to describe JT Realmuto's value throughout his entire career. The catcher that can hit. That's pretty much what JT's value has been through his career. But he mentions it's a platoon sport. And for people that are so taken aback by platoons, I'm almost more surprised and I guess kudos to that 93 team that we bring up all the time that platooned their way to playing in the World Series, that at the time they were doing it, because it's a result really of the new era, new wave thinking, and just having so much data at your disposal where, yeah, this guy matches up really well against fill-in-the-blank type of pitcher, or, hey, this right-handed bat is really good against lefties. Instead of trotting out the same left-handed bat night in and night out because you think he's got the better swing or you think that he's got the bigger upside, and in reality he can't hit lefties. Now when you're forced to look at so much data, it should have been an answer that smacked you in the face a long time ago, but I think this really allows you to look at that answer. And I think this is the right way to go about doing it. I don't think this is a reflection on, a reason why they can't do it. Yes, you would love to have everyday guys everywhere out there on the field. Really, when it comes down to it in the postseason, I'm hard-pressed to think that Weston Wilson is taking the field in left field. When he does, I'll sit here and be like, wow, I'm really shocked on that one. To me, it's really 4 outfielders just cycling through. Tonight, I do think you're going to get the Wilson, Bader, Castellanos triumvirate out there of all right-handed bats. But I think to me, this just makes the most sense for the talent they have on the roster. And I am not tremendously bothered by it, because ultimately, you could see the buttons being pushed working for them right now. I would love to have a superstar outfielder. That opportunity is come and gone. For what they have right now, I like Bader in center field, and if they have to mix and match at the corners, I'm good with mixing and matching at the corners. I really don't see much more of a problem to it than right now. And listen to Tim Kirchin talk about that. That's what baseball is right now. You have platoons all over the sport. You are not the only one doing this. We tend to be defeatist with our teams of we are the only ones with problems. No, the rest of the league has these type of problems as well. And people are, it's like 4 platoons. It's second base, and then like 1.5 in the outfield. Sure, Weston Wilson will get his at-bats. They're just trying to keep him fresh there. Again, I don't know how much they're trusting him in a postseason scenario. Do I think that the 9th hitter in the postseason is probably going to be a left-handed bat against lefty that probably shouldn't be out there, but they trust more defensively than Weston Wilson? Yeah, I kind of do. Do you really? How many plate appearances do you think Weston Wilson's getting in a series?
In this series or
no, in that postseason series?
Ooh, I'll go with 2 pinch hit appearances.
Yeah, I think at some point they will shorten that up, but maybe not. Maybe we'll all be surprised. Seeing stranger things. All right, it is past noontime here, and you're tuned in to WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios. And at noontime every day on this program, in its long, storied history, we do the NFL Notes at noon. Hit the music, Rodman.
All right, let's start out west in Vegas, the city that, well, people love to party in, and there's a couple people going there and a couple people that may be trying to leave. Let's rope it all into one. Kenny Pickett, former Eagle, is heading to the Raiders for a 2026 fifth-round pick, heading back to the Browns. The Eagles, to note there, got a 2025 fifth in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who is no longer on the roster.
So for Kenny Pickett, the frequent flyer miles have to be just kicking at this point. So this is from Pittsburgh to Philly, Philly to Cleveland, Cleveland to Vegas. And I have to say, you kind of win out in this scenario. Like, any way to get out of Cleveland is pretty awesome. You got the Super Bowl ring last year. You didn't have to deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers fans beyond, 2 years of your life. You got to come home, win a Super Bowl, beat the Cowboys and Kelly Green, and now you get a chance to basically be the, I want to say, break glass in case of emergency quarterback for their plans out there. Not terrible. You end up going to play with another great running back if you do play, and you're in Vegas. If you're not going to play somewhere, I'd like to not play in Vegas.
Yeah, and, let's...
Is that a little too...
No, that's fair because there's another player that just signed there as well. Amari Cooper getting a 1-year, $3.5 million deal that could reach up to $6 million. But at that same position, Jacoby Myers requesting a trade because he wants a new contract. He caught 87 balls last year for over 1,000 yards and is set to earn $10.76 million this year.
All right, so I saw the Jacoby Myers thing, and Jacoby Myers is a solid receiver. Are we at the point in the NFL where Jacoby Myers is he should be requesting a trade?
I don't know about requesting a trade, but I understand wanting another higher contract.
I get it, and I get it's all really just like a negotiation tactic. You went over 1,000 yards for the first time in your career last year. You had 800, 1,000. You're 28. You're playing on the Raiders. At some point, they have to move the football, right? So you're just kind of the beneficiary of that one. I don't know. To me, it just kind of seems... We have to have a tier list here of guys that are definitively above the line that can request a trade as a negotiation tactic, and guys that really should just simmer down here. Are you really worth that money? Who's basically saying Myers is on the market? Let's go make that trade and sign him to a big deal.
I don't know about going after him like that, but he's definitely worth more than nearly less than $11 million. A little less than $11 million. He's worth more than that. Terry, 32?
Listen,
he's a higher I'm not putting him in that cast.
That's what I mean.
But where Washington wanted to pay him originally, which was in the $23 million range, that's probably a little bit less than that could get you Jacoby Myers.
If I get fired because I didn't pay Jacoby Myers $20 million, I can sleep at night.
I don't think anyone's getting fired over it.
Well, that's what I mean. But if this is a trade I don't make or an extension I don't give and someone's upset with me over, I could sleep at night. Jacoby Myers is a fine player.
Fine player.
You're 28. You just went over 1,000 yards for the first time. I'm not dying to, this guy needs a raise. Maybe that's just me.
Also, that's how kind of NFL contracts work. But let's go to some roster news around the league. Tommy DeVito cut by the Giants. Beloved. I know you mentioned it earlier. Deontay Johnson cut from the Browns, and which feels like his 10th team he's played for in the last year. And lastly, Jalen Mills released by the Texans, who's the one that you mentioned earlier as well, with the different hair color.
Yes. So the question is, do you want Jalen Mills back? 610? No, I know people are not in on that. How about Marcus Epps?
Marcus Epps as well, yes.
Also released this by the Patriots.
Yes.
Basically is, do you think you could do better than Tristan McCullum with Marcus Epps?
I don't know.
And does it matter enough for you to make that move?
I don't. It's a little bit of a different scheme as well. I don't know if Epps really fits that. He kind of more, to me, doesn't really fit that mold for them, or what they're looking for.
Fair. I
it's
can
a
give
different
you that
system now. Slightly, not fully different, but
Mills doesn't fit at all. Mills is just a name that you recognize.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna really like if you're jumping on waivers to be like, I think we need Epps back. It's probably a mistake. But it was just someone I saw out there. Also, you mentioned Deontay Johnson. We played the game yesterday with Wentz. Name the teams.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me the teams?
Okay, I have his.
You have it up?
Page up right now.
I don't. So do you want me to?
Yeah, let's play. Name the team. Deontay Johnson.
Ravens, Panthers, Browns, Steelers, Texans.
There we go. 5 for 5. That's good stuff by you right there. Yes. So just looking at the transactions page here, Steelers traded him to the Panthers. Panthers traded him to the Ravens. Ravens suspended him. Ravens activated him. They waived him. Texans claimed him. Texans waived him. Hit free agency. Browns picked him up, and now the Browns have let him go. That's all. That's
it.
That's all I got for you.
Yeah, he's been bouncing around. He's definitely a head case.
Yeah. He does have. He got an 1,000-yard season in 2021, which is as many 1,000-yard seasons as Jacoby Myers has. They're both 28.
One's hitting his prime at the right time. One is bouncing around.
I know. I'm just saying. Like, I don't know. I always feel like when I see, if I'm usually pro player in most of these scenarios, where if they want to get their money, they should get their money. And Jacoby Myers absolutely should get his money. But it's one of those things that if my gut reaction to a guy requesting a trade is, oh, really? That's just like, that to me is he's below the bar of like, let's request a trade and get that cash. Like, you haven't, not that it's empty calorie numbers, but like you haven't been a contributor to real winning for how long?
Yeah, he was on some bad Patriots teams too.
Right. Like, yeah, you're getting yards. Terry McLaurin, to me, was one of those that you just knew he was trapped by bad quarterback play. That he was getting 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards. Like Mike Evans. No matter who they put out there quarterback, Mike Evans getting his 1,000 yards, he's showing up and he's dominating. Like, he's the reason why a team can win a random game. I never look at Jacoby Myers as like, oh, that guy's going to go up for 150 and be a driving force for this team to win a game and steal a game from you. Maybe
Jacoby Myers more of a wide receiver too, if anything.
Right. So again, maybe not paying him, but it's just me. Rodman, tremendous job in the NFL notes for you.
Thanks.
So we take you around the league. Oh, we got a late addition to the NFL notes at noon. Big news out of the Eagles wide receiver room. Shout out to Dutz in the back there trying to add to the NFL notes at noon. According to Ian Rappaport, the Eagles are releasing wide receiver Anais Smith, their 5th round pick from last year. So,
who's going to return punts and kicks now?
So Smith ends up being released. I would imagine that he ends up on the practice squad, right?
As long as he doesn't get picked up by somebody.
And what do we think the interest would be there for someone else? For Anais Smith. Anais Smith, I mean, I guess if you think that he could return punts for you, you'd probably go and try and grab him. I don't think they want DeJean. You remember yesterday, Jeff Mosher said to us that he wouldn't be surprised if Avery Williams made the team?
He did say that.
I really don't think they want DeJean to do this. Darius Cooper, by the way, congratulations, because I feel like this is a sign that he's made the team.
Do they even attempt to put him back there?
Has Dotson ever done it? I'm trying to think where they would go with this.
Devontae Smith has at one point. You're not going to do it.
No. Devontae, you rest up. Be careful. I don't really want Dejean doing it. Where's Covey at? Where's Britton Covey when you need him? All right, that's interesting. We'll have to figure that one out, react to that one. So we got a caller on the line that wants to talk about rosters, just not the Eagles roster cut down, and the roster cut that people want to get into. We'll reset the Phillies conversation, come back as we get more Eagles news on Cut Down Day. We will get to that as well. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through the midday show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
Velocity punches it.
Welcome back. Middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Our 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First HVAC, offering 0% financing for 48 months, rebates and tax credits up to $4,300 when purchasing a heating and cooling system. Learn more at surfacefirsthvac.com. I feel like this segment I kind of need to let the people vent. All right, I need to give the floor to people upset about last night because I've had the floor to be upset about last night for about 2 hours, 15 minutes at this point. Opened up the show. I forget who it was on the YouTube chat. It's like, we just need the Phillies to win because Ray's mood is just devastating today. And this is probably as upset as I've been with the Phillies probably all season. I mean, I guess actually in the moment at the Mets games earlier in April, I was pretty upset. But the Romano thing last night, I need to hold my hand up. I need to be accountable here. You know, I preach accountability. I got to be accountable here for saying that I would like Romano to still be on the roster instead of Joe Ross. I think as recently as a week ago, I've been wanting it to turn. I've really been wanting it to turn because the guy could throw 97. I've seen the breaking stuff, and maybe I have a little bit of that Blue Jays brain in my head where I was like, yeah, you know, I remember him being good. Maybe he'll find that. And like that, I mentioned that like 20-game stretch where he had the sub-3 ERA this year, and I was like, you know what? The Romano Revival Tour is happening. We're going to go on tour, baby. We're going to figure it out for him. And he's just been terrible since. He has been just awful since. And every time I want to try and talk myself back into him being something, he's just been dreadful. And the stat from Matt Gelb last night following his outing was Romano has an 8.23 ERA in 42 and 2/3 innings. Highest mark for a Phillies pitcher with 40-plus innings pitched since Reggie Grabowski's at 9.23 in 1934. And you say, who is Reggie Grabowski? And don't worry, I did the research for you. That 1934 season, he was really hurt by a tough inning against the New York Giants on August 4th. He gave up 10 earned in that inning on August 4th, 1934. And those 10 earned runs in that one inning that he pitched really inflated that ERA to the 9.23. I feel like Grabowski didn't have as bad a season. No. 9.23 ERA for him. That is, again, the highest mark. We now see Romano at the highest mark since that one in 1934. Grabowski actually a solid 1933 pitching-wise. Now, I probably would have been a fan of his. He put together 2 decent seasons and then just fell apart in 1934. So tough for him and tough company for Jordan Romano to keep. And I want to give a chance on the phone lines for people to lose their mind on the fact that Romano's still in this roster. So we'll go to Lenny and Pittman. Lenny, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Good afternoon, Ray. I wouldn't call it a disappointment. I would call it a predictability. As soon as he comes into the game, it's like the magical mystery tour is over. He is just absolutely terrible. Yes, he could throw 97, but guess what? Hitters in the league can hit 97 miles an hour. We saw it the other night with Duran came in, and, you know, sometimes this guy just doesn't have it. I don't know if he was, didn't like being traded or whatever. We get rid of Hoffman, didn't even make an effort to keep him. I just think Romano is absolutely in a funk, and why you would have a guy on the roster to cut over an 8 ERA after 2/3 of the season when you got another month left, it's ridiculous, personally.
Yeah, it's got to end. This experience has to end. He has to be off the roster at this point. Like, whether they want to do the whole like phantom injury thing for him for 15 days, just be kind about it, or they want to DFA him, I'm camp DFA at this point. Just cut bait. It's another example of why this offseason you didn't address the problems you had. I'm done with it. I'm over it. All right, Lenny, I think that there's an agreement from you, and I appreciate you checking in. I was going to give you the chance to jump on board with the DFA. It seems like I just gave you that agreement, and I know someone else that's been upset about this. While we continue on the Romano debacle is our buddy, Dr. Matt Elf, Greg from Bethlehem. Greg, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Greg?
Hello. Your phone was breaking up a little bit. Did you have me on echo, or was that an accident?
I got you right now, loud and clear. All right.
I'm getting a huge amount of feedback now.
All right, let's put Greg back up on hold here. I know we had some issues earlier in the day on the phone lines. We'll have to remedy that at some point here and figure out what we got going on because Greg can't hear anything. Lenny there for a second was paused. Maybe he didn't have a chance to hear me. So maybe we'll have to look into that one coming up down the line here as we get closer throughout the program. We'll get somebody on it to check that one out. I don't know if it's Dr. Matt Elf struggling with the phone or if it's our phone system struggling with him. But hey, it happens. I want to ask the question for you. Coming up next, I've been more upset with the way I felt they approached playing the Mets than anything that actually happened last night on the baseball field. But of the issues you saw last night for the Phillies, which one is the most real to you that actually points to a concern you have with this team going forward? I'll answer that question for you coming up next. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Bills lose its 8th in a row at Citi Field. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Christopher Sanchez had one of his worst starts of the season last night. Bullpen, well, they weren't great either, but none of their top guys did go yesterday. ESPN's Tim Kirchin joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday on if he believes the Phillies have a good enough bullpen for the playoffs.
I think it's enough. And when you have that big-time closer who is durable and can work a lot, Duran can, that's a real bonus. When you have starting pitchers can give you 6 most nights out, that's really helpful too.
Phillies look to turn things around tonight with Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phils and Sean Manaea for the Mets. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10. Today is cut-down day for the NFL. The Eagles have until 4 p.m. to get its roster down to 53. And one more notable player that we know is Anais Smith, reportedly being waived according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. Some other notable players, Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green, who was in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade last spring, all have been released or going to be released by the Eagles. This update has been sponsored by Thrivent. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than money. It's a way to support the people, causes, and community you love. The most important thing isn't what you're planning for, it's who. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect at Thrivent.com. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
what? We're in the papers. Hello and welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm Ray Dunn, hanging out with you. Not us. No one cares about you and I. But
I didn't
we
think so.
at the Fanatic are in the papers. The New York Post is writing about our guy, Ricky Bo. Did you see post-game last night?
I did not. I fell asleep pretty quickly.
Oh, man. Well, Ricky Bo is not thrilled.
I can only imagine.
I could have stopped the sentence there, and we all could have imagined Ricky Bo not being thrilled during a postgame after being subjected to that last night. Ricky was not happy with Alec Boehm. The quote, let's talk about Alec Boehm over there at third base. Okay, Alec, you had a good defensive game, but what really kind of got to me, you caused a 19-minute delay on something that's been there since at least 2017. We went back and checked. That exact same thing has been there since 2017. That was the quote. They link you to the entire reaction Ricky Bo had to the situation. But the headline from the New York Post, even Phillies announcers turned against Alec Boehm after causing bizarre Mets delay. This Phillies analyst had no use for Alec Boehm's antics Monday night. Ricky Bottalico, known as Ricky Bo, called out the third baseman for delaying the game for a lengthy period by pointing out a parabolic microphone in the outfield during the Mets' 13-3 win. Just riveting journalism done by the New York Post today about our own Ricky Bottalico. He's in the papers. What they didn't put in here, what I'm very disappointed about, is that he was an all-star in 96.
Yeah, that's a little hurtful. Come on. You got to do a little more research.
You got to point that out. This is not just any analyst. This guy was an all-star in 96. Also didn't mention unfiltered either. Let's do some research on who Ricky Bo is. Ricky Bottalico, known as Ricky Bo. No, Ricky Bottalico, who goes by Ricky Bo, who is the lead name on Unfiltered, which airs at 2 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic, and was an all-star in 1996, had this to say. That's how you
Philadelphia Phillies, pitcher Ricky Bottalico.
That's how you write that, all right? But we're in the papers, kind of.
You missed one. He also threw up Barry Bonds.
Yes, he famously fought Barry Bonds. Yes, that is true. He's threatened to fight me a few times. I don't know if that would have made the Post. I feel like if the Post existed in this town, I feel like we could get a really salacious, like, does Ricky hate Ray? Does Bill hate Ray story in there? I feel like we could.
Is that what you've earned? You've yearned for over these years? The last year, I guess, with Bill?
I've enjoyed people in public coming up to me and saying, "Do you hate Bill?" Like that's been a fun thing. It's also apparently Ricky's birthday, so happy birthday, Ricky. You're in the papers today. Wow, the Phillies really happy birthday, Ricky. Sorry your party sucked. Like, could be tonight if they don't play well. And watch it. Imagine him being forced to watch Romano again on his birthday, back-to-back nights. As much as I want them to win, like, come on. Like, it would be kind of funny.
Yeah.
For Ricky's birthday to be ruined by Romano.
It would be kind of funny. So we get to watch it again on postgame tonight.
Yeah. All right. I mentioned this on the game yesterday. What concern out of yesterday, what thing that went wrong concerns you the most about this team? Because Christopher Sanchez struggled. You obviously watched what the bullpen was. The bats going silent after the first couple innings against Senga. The defense, the mental makeup of the group, if you want to go into some of these things. To me, the biggest thing was the runners in scoring position. You were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And it wasn't so much just that. It's the way you played against that Mets bullpen. Mentioned after the deadline, I thought the Mets did a good job in adding that bullpen. Helsley has been atrocious for them so far. Soto's been a problem for them so far as well. But to me, the biggest thing that concerns me, that I think of the issues that plagued them in that loss last night, is the lineup against one-inning guys, against relievers. They've been good against bullpens this year, I get it. But this bullpen, not that it's really pitching all that well, and it hasn't been for 2 months, but shutting them down as you watch the Mets just continue to pile on against you, that bothers me. That bothered me yesterday. That's the most real of all the issues to me. The inability to really get after Senga and then going quiet the rest of the game. That is the biggest issue to come out of yesterday that bothered me. It's not Christopher Sanchez's start. It's not guys who won't be pitching on this team come October. It's not the defense. As much as it annoyed me, the pointing out the microphone in center field, that didn't bother me as much. Of the real issues in that game, that is the biggest thing that sticks out to me. I'm curious for you at 610-632-0975. What bothered you the most of the issues that plagued the Phillies last night in their loss to the Mets? Because to me, the bats going quiet against the bullpen and not being able to drive really more than 3 runs home against Senga despite having the opportunity to do so. That's the biggest thing. When you look at big picture concerns for that team, that was the thing that stuck out in Neon. I love the story that Gelb, well, I guess love is probably strong for a story that really highlighted how bad of a night it was, but it was a great story by Gelb in The Athletic today on last night's game. Basically, last night's game was one for the naysayers, for the detractors of this team, that it featured a wide range of problems that they have. And to me, that offense is the biggest problem they had last night. Sure, we could talk about how much we hate Romano, which I know the text line has, so let's let the people vent. I said I was going to let him do it in the 12 o'clock hour. Even as we processed last night throughout the day, people are still upset. Let me hear some of the people upset with Romano.
All right, so I'll give you one that person's upset with Romano, and then we have someone that's not as upset with him that we'll get into in a second. But the first one that's upset with Romano, I won't watch any more Phillies games until they get rid of Romano. I understand the Canada connection between him and Topper, but he has to go.
The Canada connection between him and Topper. Is that what... This is like really just trying to find a way to be upset with Rob Thompson. If you're like, yeah, you know what? It's their Canadian connection. That's why Romano is still here. Romano's still here because they paid him. That's why he's still here. Let's not blame Rob Thompson for a mistake that was made by the front office on this one. Now, I don't know my areas in Canada all that well, so I'll do the research right now on where both of them are from as compared to one another, and whether or not there is some, like, hey, they feel kinship to one another because of where they're from. I guess they're both Ontario guys, so maybe that's it. Maybe that he's just looking out for another Ontario guy. I think in reality, he got paid, and they want to keep him here. So let's not make this a Thompson thing. This is a Romano thing. Look at where he's pitched him. He clearly doesn't want to pitch him. He's pitching him in very low leverage situations. All right, continue on here. Who's trying to defend or feel bad for? I feel like this is a feel bad text, right?
All right. This is Chris from Plymouth Meeting. It says, no reason to cut Romano. Let him pitch when winning or losing. He won't be on the playoff roster. I believe the Phils tried to keep Hoffman. Maybe he wanted to change, but the Jays paid him more money. Not necessarily he wants him gone, but he's like, might as well just use him the rest of the year.
The Hoffman thing for me is the physical, where he was flagged by multiple teams, and the multi-year commitment to relievers. And, like, I understand early in the season we all were, like, pining for, they should have kept Jeff Hoffman. They should have kept Jeff Hoffman. Not that he's not been the disaster that Romano's been, but if they paid him $33 million over 3 years and he was pitching to a 4 ERA right now, I have a feeling that the feelings on this fan base would not be all warm and loving as they were a year ago. Just being honest with you on that one. So, I get it. They were better off paying him than Romano. But we keep going back to that. If you want to be honest about something, Sean, can we say something in the trust tree, just you and I? No one's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Estevez was probably the guy to pay.
He probably was the guy to pay. But if you pay Estevez, you're definitely not trading for another closer at that point, I don't think. Not that they necessarily used him as a closer every time.
Just saying, if there was one guy to pay, probably the guy that's pitching to a mid-2s ERA right now. All right, so we said that no one heard that because it's just you and I talking.
Mm-hmm.
But
glad no one listened.
No one listening. So, all right, we're gonna try and let Greg finish out his upset thoughts on Romano. We'll see if we're gonna go test the phones again at 610-632-0975. Greg, do we have you now?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. So far, so good.
All right, what do you got on Romano?
Can you hear it? Well, I thought, first off, I wanted to say, when is somebody going to come out of a list of the best lists? It seems like that's the only thing we're missing.
That's exactly what Matt Minarik, who works behind the scenes here, came in and said to me. He's like, you have to put together a list of your favorite lists. Maybe I'll do a list of the quarterback lists, and that'll be the definitive list to end our offseason of lists.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, do we know if Topper was a Little League coach of Romano?
I did look it up. From where they're both from, it's about 3-hour drive apart.
Oh, all right. About an hour and a half. That's long distance. You can make that work.
Yeah. Romano, I mean, I can't. I'm like everyone else. I can't understand why the guy's still out there. He looked like a deer in the headlights, and he just doesn't look like he has any confidence. And certainly, the results would would cause you not to be confident. I hate the idea that he's only out there because they pay him. You know, you got to make a decision that, hey, you know, I made the wrong decision and hired this guy, and we need to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where they should be with this, right? Like, they've made this mistake before and recognized that mistake before. They've done this before, where they're like, yeah, we paid a guy. Whit Merrifield, for example. Didi Gregorius, for example. Like, hey, this guy got paid. This guy's not doing his job. It's time to move on. I said earlier in the show, you got a guy who's pitched in Major League Baseball in AAA. He's only pitched 7 times for you. They've all been scoreless. His strikeout rate was down this year. That's why he bounced around on a couple of teams on the West Coast and Lou Trevino, who's a local guy. Why not give him a shot? Max Lazar, when he's able to come back up, bring him back up. I know what I got Romano at this point. I can't. I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone for a week ago still trying to make this work. It's not going to work. Sometimes things in life aren't going to work out. You got to just deal with it. This one's not going to work out, and you have to just deal with it. Now, we're going to go back to the Birds coming up for a segment here. In the 1 o'clock hour, we'll get back to some more Phillies conversation. But I mentioned this earlier. The Athletic put out the reaction to Austin Mock's win projection for the NFC. The Eagles, everyone obviously loves. You know, everyone's feeling good about the Eagles. But I'm curious for you, is it so much that we love the Eagles from a national perspective, or just hate or question so much about what's going on in the rest of the NFC? Plus, I know some people want to chime in on what they're going to do at punt returner without Anaya Smith. We'll get into that a little bit coming up as well. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through the midday show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It's roster cut down day. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Birds Insider Update. The Eagles and the rest of the league have until 4 p.m. today to get their rosters down to 53. Eagles have reportedly waived some notable names, including sixth round pick quarterback Kyle McCord, cornerback Eli Ricks, guard Kenyon Green, who was in that C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade, and wide receiver Anaya Smith, who was picked last year in the 5th round. The Eagles made a few trades the previous 2 days, including adding quarterback Sam Howell, reuniting with offensive tackle Fred Johnson, and then sending offensive lineman Darian Kincade to Green Bay. Philly voice and Inside the Birds Jeff Mosher joined us on Middays yesterday, and he highlighted a few more positions the Eagles could target.
How he's making calls, he always does. You know, wouldn't surprise me if there was some edge depth movement. I thought that there would be some movement on the offensive line. And obviously, Fred Johnson's back. Maybe even on the interior offensive line.
The Commanders and Terry McLaurin have agreed to an extension keeping him in D.C. for 3 years. And the Cowboys and Micah Parsons, well, they don't seem to be any closer to a deal prior to Week 1, which is going to be here against the Eagles in Philadelphia. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The summer's here, and you...
Don't tell your significant...
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, you know he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. You know, he's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. You know, so this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one.
One?
Jorge Posada started 127. That was 10 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross and Alvarado if they don't pick up his option. But I think you're asking me, can they afford to sign both?
Get to the midday show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sean, have you seen what's going on between YouTube TV and Fox?
I have. I was actually going to have this in the Rodman Report at one before I saw it in the show sheet.
Yes,
had to
please
change that around for you.
I've been told last week, I was told by the audience they're cool with me going into sports media conversation because I can nerd out on that stuff. We're in this business, and this business fascinates me because, one, I'm in it, and it's like, you want to know what's going on in your world, but also, if I was doing anything else, I think I would also be locked in on this. So this YouTube TV Fox dispute has a deadline of 5 o'clock on Wednesday to reach a deal. If a deal is not reached between the two sides, YouTube TV subscribers are losing access to Fox channels. The ones important to the sports audience, Fox Sports, FS1, obviously the main Fox network that brings you your football games. That means that this weekend, when they have Texas and Ohio State, you who have YouTube TV will not be watching. And I don't know if you know how this works football-wise, but kind of a big deal for your football watching pleasure. Something you might want to get figured out. Now, of course, YouTube wants you to be assured that they're going to take care of you. Do you know what YouTube's saying they're going to give to their YouTube TV users if a deal's not met?
Is it going to be Sunday NFL Ticket?
A $10 credit. You can't watch your football, but here's $10 to feel better about it. YouTube TV is saying that Fox is asking for payments that are far higher than what partners with comparable content offerings receive.
This is bad. This is very, very bad.
Our priority is to reach a deal that reflects the value of their content and is fair for both sides without passing on additional costs to our subscribers. Now, it's important to note that Fox launched a direct-to-consumer streaming service called Fox One last week. So Fox is basically saying, hey, You're going to pay us a lot because some people will just go and spend the $20 to get our service, and to hell with your service. YouTube TV saying, look at all the people we've already gotten our service that you would be losing and alienating.
I wonder how much, especially rating-wise, how this is going to play. Like, you go look at not only like their news programs, your local programs for Fox around the country. You go to all their different shows and stuff, and then NFL football. NFL football is usually the moneymaker in revenue.
Top 100. So that's the one thing where, YouTube TV can stand here and say, we just want fair value to what our consumers are getting. And it's like, listen, man, Fox is one of the NFL's partners. You're going to have, 30 of the top 100 programs on your service just by sheer volume of having it there? Like, hey, I love the deadline's also Wednesday at 5. I like right before college football kicks off, right before, like, everything what Fox is, made the money on here is about to start. And it's like, yeah, no, now we're going to know. We'll know Wednesday at 5. No one puts these deadlines in the middle of July. It's like, oh, no, I'm going to miss out on Saturday afternoon baseball. And this is coming from a guy that loves baseball, loves his Saturday afternoon on Fox, Saturday evening on Fox. They do this right before football season because it's like, well, what are you going to do, YouTube TV? What are you going to do?
Didn't DirecTV do something along the lines right around, was it March Madness?
Yep. All these deals are designed to put pressure. And YouTube TV, I got to be honest with you. As a subscriber, if you mess this one up, we might be seeing different people come another week from now. I can't not have the Fox channel for sports come football season.
Yeah, I'm actually with you. I have YouTube as well.
A $10 credit's not going to calm me down.
No.
That's, $10 off next month. Ooh, yay. I lost out on all the Fox, but I still have $10. Figure it out. I'm begging you. Figure it out.
It's not even you can go use those $10 all towards the new Fox streaming service either.
Oh, yeah. I saved $10 next month, but I'm now signing up for a $20 per month streaming service. Really works out math-wise for me. All right, going back real quick to this Eagles thing in The Athletic that I saw. They did the reaction to Austin Mock. You were here. You heard last week we did the projections, the different wins and all that. The Eagles were the highest projected team in the NFC. No one's surprised by that. That's not surprising at all, given who they are, what they accomplished last year. As we went through it, the Commanders were picked low, and the Commanders were given the grade of just about right for this season in terms of the win total that they had. And I just started going through it, and the Eagles are good, don't get me wrong. They have champagne problems. Yesterday, Jeff Mosher was talking about the depth not being enough. If they have injury, bad luck this year, all right, that's what got them. But when you look at the NFC, the problems with everyone else to me, the Commanders, old. The Lions, 2 new coordinators. The Rams, 37-year-old with a bad back is kind of where they're putting all their hopes into. The Packers, every year I'm thinking that's the next year they're going to take the step. Maybe this is the year they take the step. The Vikings, rookie quarterback. Like, the problems elsewhere. It's the greatest case for the Eagles to go back to the Super Bowl. Just the fact that you look around the NFC and there's not another team that you're like, ooh, that team's like top tier. I'd be worried. They're right on the Eagles tier. They're right in the way of their path. Like, you go to the AFC, and if I'm a Bills fan, I'm like, oh, there's the Chiefs. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm like, oh, the Bills are there. The Ravens are there. The Chiefs inside their own division are looking around like, hey, maybe the Chargers will eventually do something. People are very high on the Broncos for some reason. Like, you could look around. The Eagles, I look around, and it's like, yeah, the Commanders were nice last year. They've continued to get older. And I don't think they did a ton where I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a team that's now in the same class as the Eagles. I look at the Lions, I say, oh, look, the change of coordinators. What's that going to do for them? The Rams, I mentioned the quarterback. Like, is the biggest case for the Eagles everyone else? Would you say the biggest case for the Eagles is more what they have internally or where externally they face that problem of other teams in the NFC being good enough to overtake them? You can get in on that 610-632-0975 coming up. And I Smith was like, go. We got some people opining on the text line what they will do for the punt return situation. Spoiler, it can't be Cooper DeJean. I can't have it be Cooper DeJean. Also, the Rodman Report at 1 o'clock. It's a segment that's sweeping the nation. All right, the New York Post wrote a story that said it was greater than the gun at 1. Who is Brendan Gunn? That's what the Post wrote, not what I said. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies lose again at Citi Field. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Christopher Sanchez did not perform very well last night. The bullpen wasn't great either, but neither were none of the end of the roster guys in the bullpen participated last night. It was only Romano and Ross that were the ones that blew up, and the Phillies, they look to turn around tonight with Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phillies and Sean Manaea for the Mets. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10. Today is cut-down day for the NFL. Eagles have until 4 p.m. to get its roster down to 53. Anaya Smith released, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. Some other notable players already waived for the Eagles is quarterback Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green, who was in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade last spring. This update is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, A.J., Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anaya Smith being the punt returner and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Wow. Started 127. That was 10 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, But even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler.
On the 1 o'clock hours, you're tuned in to WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios. I'm on Twitter right now, and I see one of the aggregators, paid for clicks type accounts. Nothing wrong with it. Just saying that's the type, you got the blue check mark, and I usually just see it tweeting out numbers and engagement stuff, and that's your role in this thing. But I see one of those Phillies accounts tweeting out the 2026 schedule. I have not seen it officially, but I was excited for that today. I'm not going to go through it because I don't know if it's real. But just the idea of it being out there has been quite exciting. Playing out next summer. Just looking at it, quick glance, I'm a little underwhelmed by the weekend trips I could pull off. But we're going to hope that this one's fake. All right?
Well, for your sake, Ray, I hope it's fake too.
Me
but
too.
Maybe we get to spend more time here at the station.
Nope.
Yep. No?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Nope.
I'm
taking a vacation next summer. Darn it.
Oh, that's 4 ways away, though.
I did get away for a little bit, right? Yeah, I went up to Boston for a weekend. Yeah. I had like 3-4 consecutive days off in there. I went on the shore for a long weekend, too. All right.
You've had a couple longer weekends.
Yeah, I had like 4 days off over the summer. That worked. That was good. Yeah. Someone, one of my buddies was like, yeah, my cousin tells me listen to you all the time. He said, stop taking so much time off. It's like, I'm the one at the station? You're concerned about taking time off? Me? We talking about me? All right. You said we got some people on the text line opining over punt return options, and Aya Smith was waived by the Eagles as they try and get down to 53 for roster cutdown day today at 4 o'clock. What do we got on the text line for returner option?
Yeah, first up, someone saying Shipley should return punts. That could be an option, at least for punt-wise.
Will Shipley. All right, let's go back to I guess he could be an option. I don't know. As a punt returner, he did not do it in college, which would not lead me to think that he is going to do it professionally or well. But maybe I'm not there at practice.
Well, here's another one for you then.
No bad ideas.
Nathan Malvern just says John Mechie can also return punts.
All right. John Mechie. Maybe Mechie was, instead of being the Jahan Dotson replacement, he was the
Nia Smith replacement?
Oof. All right, maybe that's the way.
Is that the way we were supposed to take that?
Is that how we're going to spin it? I mean, I'm all for a good spin. If we could end up.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good spin though. That's not putting a lot of faith in Mechie.
I'm all for a spin, in general. When we get to it, did not return punts in college. Punt return. I'm not seeing any of those numbers on here. So I'm going to say that's another wishful thinking.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that I'm confident that I'd love to return punts this.
So I did see I think it was Jeff McClain put this out that they are going to try and get him back after he clears waivers.
And then you can promote him from the practice squad.
So I think they're trying to prevent Darius Cooper from being picked up because he had the impressive camp, and that would be what they end up trying to accomplish through all this. I just can't have B. Cooper DeJean. I think me, Vic Fangio, you, most of the fan base all gets kind of concerned with him as the punt return. Unless you feel like he should be the punt return. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No.
I just kind of assumed you were also.
No, I'm in the same camp as you there.
Yeah, I just can't have it happen. I very much against it, just because I don't want to see it. I don't want to see him get hurt doing that, especially when I don't feel great about the cornerback room in general. He's going to be on the field almost every defensive snap at this point because the best 11 includes him at this point. So, all right. Sean Rodman, I told you. New York Post, writing about this. It is the greatest radio segment they've ever conceived, really.
Okay, I don't know about that.
People are saying The news segment at 1 o'clock on the Fanatic Midday Show is tremendous. It's the Rodman Report. What do you have for us, Sean?
All right. Well, let's go back a little bit to, well, let's say last season for the Eagles. And there was a little bit of a, conundrum, tiff, you could say, at one point in the Eagles season between A.J. Brown and potentially Jalen Hurts that Brandon Graham gave us last year. And
that.
I just wanted to highlight that because it seems like the two of them have kind of grown in their relationship since then, one. And two, if you watch the top 100 video of Jalen Hurts yesterday, or even if you watched it today, Jalen Hurts at the very end had a conversation with A.J. Brown, and it seems like the two of them have repaired their relationship. So here is a small clip from that.
She about to sing, but proud of you, man. Appreciate you, man. Proud of you too. All the ups and downs, bro. It comes with it, man. It's a part of the game, and that's life. We evolve, we go through stuff, try and go through it diligently, and we take everything as it comes. And at the end of the day, God is better than all the highs and the lows, man. You just got to stay rooted in that, and everything handles itself over time. But a lot of work, a lot of energy. Even before you got here, getting close to going and coming here and helping us do what we do, you know what I mean? And now, she about to sing. Love you. Love you too.
All right, so the context of that was, where did that conversation take place?
That was at the Super Bowl right before they were about to win.
Yeah. So it's good. Like, I think what Brandon Graham put out there last year, there was truth to it.
I agree. I'm just saying that some of the relationship has been repaired since then.
Some is very clear. It's very easy. Like, if you and I, for example, were in the midst of $1 million licensing deal for this program, despite the fact that you badmouth me to everyone behind my back and hate my guts, we would be able to shake hands and talk about how great things are.
Well, yeah, if someone's going to be handing us millions of dollars.
Right.
Sure.
We
can make it work.
If they took this one national between the two of us, and it was the two of us standing there, and I don't think that's what's happening behind the scenes with Hurts and Brown, that there's bad mouthing, that they don't like one another. I'm just saying that it's very easy to be grateful for what you have around you when you're winning the Super Bowl and reaching the pinnacle of your sport. I think things are better between the two of them from what you would assume. They did the whole celebration when they scored the touchdown. Everything sort of trended in the right direction for the two of them the rest of the way. And they've been very complimentary of one another since that time. I don't think it's going to reach a point of, like, they can't be around one another. I do think it is one of those things where, like, you're tight with someone, you work with someone, some of that friendship turns into more of a working relationship, and some of your work stress comes from that other person, then that can lead to a little bit of friction, I think, in that friendship, and a little bit of, like, okay, where is our dynamic now? And I think in that clip, they kind of addressed that. So I think they've come to a place where they understand that working relationship. I don't know if they're ever going to be like what they were before. Friends-wise, maybe they will be. Maybe by the time they get done playing, they're going to be. Maybe we'll get the we have the 6-11 podcast with Howard and Rollins. Maybe we'll get the 1-11. I guess that'd just be 1-1-1, 3-1 for Hurts and Brown podcast when they're done. Maybe that they'll get back to that and they'll be buddies and it'll be a whole thing, or they'll end up traveling around whenever they're doing stuff post football. Even though I don't think Hurts is going to try and be in the spotlight post football, and Brown will be, and I think that's again just difference of the two guys. I don't see it as a big problem. Like if your point of this playing this for me is that you think that we've put that storyline to bed, I agree. I think that storyline has been put to bed. I would be interested to see the way everyone reacts if the passing game doesn't get off to the start that we want it to and anticipate it to, because that, of course, is working stress that would impact their working relationship, which impacts their overall relationship.
One, putting it to bed. Two, the other part is, if we look at the Eagles, and we've kind of talked about this here and there throughout this offseason and training camp, there has not been a lot of drama. And yeah, sure, they won the Super Bowl, so that helps with less drama, but there hasn't been anybody in camp. There hasn't been anybody come in from free agency that has caused drama. They're all about business, and I think this is another factor of that this team really likes each other, one, and two, this team is very motivated to go back and win it again and to improve as of last year.
It's kind of, I don't want to say like crazy, but it's kind of crazy the focus they have. Like, to listen to A.J. Brown talk about how he didn't enjoy it, for Jalen Hurts to be so, like, him doing I'm not going to wear the ring thing, like, it's so over the top, like, not acknowledging what happened, It's amazing to me. Like, you do have DeJean, who's done, like, the victory tour. And, like, you know, if I were him, Barkley has done a bit of the victory tour. If I were them, that would be me. So that's why it's kind of crazy to me. The AJ, the Jalen part of this thing, where it's like, that's over and done with. We're over it. Like, and they were over it pretty quickly. Like, what? Jalen said he celebrated for, like, 4 days. It's like, yeah, I'm good. And I don't know if it was the 4 days specifically after the Super Bowl, because if that's the case, he didn't enjoy the parade. And I could also see Jalen being the type of guy that'd be like, all right, I'll go out there, but just know I'm doing this for you guys.
I think he kind of enjoyed the parade a little bit.
I'm sure he enjoyed the parade a little bit. But I'm just saying, like, if there's a type of guy that would be like, more of this, I could see him being that. Like, an AJ had already posted before the parade that he wasn't fulfilled by the Super Bowl. I'm sure they all had a great time with it. I know, because you were here manning the dump button.
Yes.
That a lot of them were very excited.
A lot of them were very excited.
I don't think there's a problem between the two of them anymore. So, like, I agree with you in that sense. I will be interested to see what we get in terms of a passing offense the rest of the way. And I'm getting texts like crazy.
Did you see this, what Dutz just sent us?
Oh my goodness. Hit the breaking news sounder.
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
When I click on it, nothing comes up, though.
Oh, don't tell me we got baited on this one.
I think we might have got baited on this one.
No. This is Adam Schefter. This is Adam Schefter.
All right.
At Adam Schefter. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift announced their engagement on Instagram. All right, coming up after the break, we'll get to the Phillies schedule that also just dropped to get back into the Phillies game 4 last night. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Do you feel unfulfilled? Do your afternoons feel like groundhog?
I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have a
from Cam.
few.
All right. Hit me with 2 of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anais Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Not underestimate how good JT has been. Since June 9th, he has the best batting average of any player in the National League? Any of them. The thing I've noticed is these pitchers, Zach Wheeler in particular, they go out of their way to talk about how important he is, how valuable he is. Why is that? They're trying to send a message that they need him back. He's going to say, why should I take a pay cut? I think it's safe to say Kyle Schwarber's contract needle isn't pointing down. So this is going to be a lot more expensive to keep them both. The one thing about JT is he'll be 35 next opening day. You know how many catchers in this century have started 125 games in the season at age 35 or older? It's one. Jorge Posada. Jorge Posada started 127. That was 15 years ago. Again, I think that points to a shorter deal for JT, but even if it's short, he's going to want to get paid. Are the Phillies going to be able to afford, say, $45 million to re-sign JT and Kyle Schwarber per year? I mean, they're going to free up some money with Ranger and Kepler and Romano and Joe Ross.
I'm sorry. I'm not, though. Welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm Ray Dunn hanging out with you. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Oh. If you missed it, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. And we went to break, and we got the news from Adam Schefter. I had a couple people text to me that this happened. And we hit the breaking news sounder. And we got a here we go. What? Awful breaking news. Who cares? Damn, I thought it was a trade. I thought it was a Parsons deal. Shaking my head. Shame on me. This is false advertisement. Abuse of the breaking news theme. Not cool, Ray. Yeah, that's a violation. I hate that I fell for that. You can't do that on cut day. A lot of people upset at us for using the breaking news sound. One person not upset. Silvana is loving it. Silvana is all fired up for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Big Swiftie out there. She's thrilled. No, she's thrilled. She's so excited. 2 o'clock, she'll be able to break it down.
Maybe, and give me more at 4.
Text line upset with us as well?
Yeah, text line upset saying, weak, why would you do that to us? And a few other words I shouldn't say.
Yeah. To be clear, Silvana's not a Swiftie. She just was here for the reaction to it happening. I think I spent enough time on it for a sports talk show.
Yeah,
right?
that's about it.
Yeah. Travis finally got a ring in 2025. Am I right, guys? Yeah. All right. That's about all I got for you on that one. Thanks. Yeah, I don't even deserve the rim shot on that one. But yeah, Silvana's our YouTube chat upset slander. She's not a Swiftie. I know she's not a Swiftie. I want to see her get upset over it, though. The news that I actually care about that dropped in the last 10 minutes. Sorry. Taylor Swift, good music. Travis Kelce, good football player. Very happy for the two of them. The Phillies schedule for 2026 dropped. And I got to say, for those of you that love planning trips, it's cause saying I'm violation for me as well. The trips for you are tough. For those of you that like taking trips. Fenway, Petco, and it looks like the Cubs are all midweek road trips.
Ooh.
The Cubs, late April, midweek. That actually sounds like a birthday trip for me. I'll see you guys. The Red Sox, mid-May, midweek. Petco, late May, midweek.
That could be a decent one.
Yeah, but they're all midweek.
I know, but is it closer to Memorial Day?
It's close, but
not that week.
You could, I guess, use that week because then they go to the Dodgers over Memorial Day weekend, which, by the way, no, Memorial Day, actually, there will be Memorial Day weekend, I guess, that Monday in San Diego. So, yeah, I guess that you could take that week. That sounds like a time that I could be out of here. And then just looking at some of the other the way it lines up, it's not great. I'll be honest with you, from the traveling perspective of things, you're going to get some good weekends that are close. You got a couple weekends up at Citi Field, which are terrifying given what we know. Weekend down in Baltimore. Weekends. You not get a weekend in Washington? I mean, that's okay. I don't really need. Yeah, you don't get a weekend in Washington. That's all right. And then just looking for those that were interested in the Iowa Field of Dreams game. The Field of Dreams will be mid-August, so that's the 14th or the 15th. 14th or the 16th, they're playing the Twins. So I imagine maybe that's Sunday Night Baseball, Minnesota on the 16th. I would assume that would be when they play that game. Or would they do that Saturday night? I don't know. Maybe a Saturday night instead? On
Well,
Fox?
it's Fox has it, so
So it'll be the 15th. So it'll be the 15th. Then they'll go back to Minnesota. I imagine going from Iowa back to Minnesota, they'll also be on Sunday Night Baseball that weekend as well. Because I guess you wouldn't want them back at 1 o'clock after playing at 7 o'clock at Field of Dreams. But
yeah, you would assume that, and then they are back in Philadelphia the next day against, was it the Marlins?
Yeah. Oof. They get a day off that Thursday. They'll be okay. They'll survive.
But you know, this time next year, at that point, we'll be complaining about this team cannot win after traveling.
Yeah. No, they'll have some sort of travel problem. That's how this one works. Yep. They have some sort of travel problem that'll pop up, and they'll be frustrated. But yeah, just looking at the schedule, not great for the trip. Oracle also midweek. We're gonna get the trip to San Francisco at the beginning of April, which is just bad weather-wise for you, and also bad for our psyche because they can't win at Oracle, and they'll drop all three of those in the beginning of April, and we'll all freak out. But there you go. As your breakdown of the Phillies schedule, we'll do the 162 W's and L's tomorrow with Amy Fadul because she loves doing the W's and L's. I don't want to take that from her.
Yeah, she doesn't like missing them.
No, even though she ducked, basically. Like, she tried to avoid doing Sixers W and L's 2 weeks ago. You know, kid's sick. I don't know. Kind of felt like that she was like, I don't want to do W's and L's with Ray. That's the way I read it. That's the way I read the situation. Tonight for the Phils, as we get back to the Phillies conversation, we'll get back to it. We have Temple head football coach Casey Keeler joining us coming up at 1:25. Look forward to talking to him about the season coming up, what they got going. They open up this weekend. I heard college football talk this morning of what Andrew's watching this weekend, that he's watching TCU UNC for Hoodie in the first Belichick game. Because I think that's Monday night this upcoming week. I'll be in on that. Obviously going to be in on Nebraska this year. I want to see what happens with Matt Rule out there. Other than that, I'm looking forward to Texas, Ohio State. But, of course, I'm looking forward to what the Owls are going to do this year. Get a chance to talk to Casey Keeler coming up. For tonight, the Phillies. I think tonight's a good test to see if you can turn the tide on a guy that's had your number for Manaea. Because you go look, and I saw one of those accounts, like aggregate accounts, putting out numbers for them. Manaea's numbers against the Phillies pre-last year, you feel great about the Phillies. Last two starts against the Phillies, 14 innings pitched. I think he's limited them to 4 earned runs. He's done a really good job. You go back to that postseason. You go back to his last start against them last season. He's been hurt. He's been down for most of this year. And that really tonight, if you can't hit him tonight and he gets right against you, I will feel the weight of Citi Field just absolutely crash upon you. Like, at this point, I need something to break your way. Beating Manaea would be the way to feel like things are breaking back towards you. And that is the biggest thing I could take from tonight. It's a test of whether or not things can change for you. Things could change for you in that building. Because, again, last night there were so many problems on the field, but it's just the overall cloud hanging over our heads of this is a team at Citi Field that has struggled. And they're making mistakes of a team that's in their head right now. You look at that rundown that they botched. You look at Alec Boehm trying to get a microphone move. That's the biggest thing for me right now. Mentally, can you beat someone that's had your number? And mentally, can you beat a team that's had your number? Tonight's a great test to see if things can change. Because if I go up there Wednesday night and they've lost 2 in a row, Sean Robin, we're going to be in all types of... Tomorrow, we're going to be all types of bad. You thought I was mad this morning. Part of that had to do with the traffic. Other part of it had to do with, obviously, what we watched.
Yeah, I can't imagine seeing you tomorrow of how that's going to... Especially because I don't know if the traffic's going to be much better for you.
No, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be any better. Again, pro kids in school. Anti the traffic it brings to my commute. Want to make that very clear after yesterday's little snafu with questioning whether or not I was pro-education on that one. Speaking of education, I got a Temple one. Coming up next, we'll talk to the Temple head football coach, Casey Keeler, on the Owls season starting, some of the expectations, why Temple. And I got to ask him, did you see Evan Simon? Their quarterback?
I did
sleeping
not.
at the facility? He set up an air mattress, apparently, in defensive line room. I got to know, how sanitary is this? And has the guy left the facility? Is he at least making it to meals?
Classes this week,
at this
too.
point? We'll break it down with Casey Keeler coming up next. I'm Ray Dunn, taking through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils continue to lose at Citi Field. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Christopher Sanchez had one of his worst starts of the season yesterday, and the bullpen, well, they weren't great either. But their top guys were not used yesterday. ESPN's Tim Kirchin joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday on if he believes the Phillies have a good enough bullpen for the playoffs.
I think it's enough. And when you have that big-time closer who is durable and can work a lot, Duran can, that's a real bonus. When you have starting pitchers can give you 6 most nights out, that's really helpful too.
Phillies look to turn things around with Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phils and Sean Manaea for the Mets. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10 tonight. Today is cutdown day for the NFL. The Eagles have until 4 p.m. to trim their roster to 53, and Anais Smith has already been released, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. Some notable players already waived as well: Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green as well. This update has been sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Welcome back into the Midday Show. I'm Ray Dutton, taking you through it here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Plenty of Phillies and Eagles we've gotten into today. Coming up, bottom of the hour, we'll break down what's going on with the Phillies and Mets tonight. But I'm tremendously excited to get the chance to talk to our next guest, the head football coach of Temple University, and not just the head coach of the Owls. Someone that has been one of the winningest head coaches at the college football level for a long time, a guy from this area getting his chance to start his tenure with the Owls coming up this week. He is Casey Keeler. Join us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Coach Keeler, how are you today?
Ray, I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited for what this season's going to look like for you just off the jump. How you feeling about the squad right now?
Yeah, been here 9 months now, and the boys have really responded. From the first day I got here, I challenged them about, doing, attacking winter workouts, and we just killed winter workouts, and same thing in spring practice, and then summer conditioning. So now we're in training camp. It's kind of 5 phases of the season. This 5th phase is the actual season. And I've seen a lot of growth, and I think we're a little bit better team than people think we can be. It's just I'm hoping we don't resort back to some bad habits. It's, once those bullets are flying, it's easy to panic a little bit. And that's the mystery of a first game. How are you going to handle that adversity? Because, my old coach, Tubby Raymond, would always say, you can't simulate that first game. It's impossible. You can't get the band out there and the fans going, and you just can't cut the grass, and, you can't get that feel for that first game. And we will definitely be knee-deep up at Massachusetts game 1.
Now, before we get into this upcoming season, I want to ask you a question. You mentioned it's been 9 months now, but why Temple? What made you make that decision to move from Sam Houston here to Temple and take this job?
Yeah, my name had come up for a bunch of jobs. We were having conversations, and the difference with Temple was 2 days after they had contacted me, the athletic director was in Texas. And we met about half an hour from my house. He came up from the Woodlands area. And during that conversation, we got our president on a FaceTime. And, I love telling the story. The Eagles are playing. He's screaming at the television and talking to me about being the next head football coach. So I got a feeling pretty quickly that they were serious, and looked at the resources they were willing to give me and was very impressed. And then the other thing is that I had a unique lens. I played against Temple. I got recruited by Temple. I sat with Wayne Harden. Now, Wayne talked to me about golf because they had filled up, and I didn't know it. I'm wondering, why is this guy talking to me about golf? We should be talking about my scholarship here. But it was a little late, and they had filled up, and that's why I had ended up at Delaware. But I know the potential this place has had, and the greatness it once did. I always tell people, 198 NFL players have come from Temple, 81 draft choices, 4 first-round picks, a Heisman Trophy runner-up. They beat Penn State in front of 70,000 at the Lincoln, and game day shows up. That was only 10 years ago. So my belief is, I'm not reinventing the wheel. There was greatness here once before, and it's my job to see if I can get that greatness back.
And talking about bringing that greatness back, there is a subset of people in this area, and certainly some of the alumni base, that have really watched what's happened over the last 5 or so years and have kind of grown to a level of apathy. What would be your message to them about bringing them back and bringing this city on board for what you're doing at Temple?
Yeah, hey, Temple loves Philadelphia, and Temple loves a winner. So that's what you have to do. But also, I think the message of how we're trying to do things, one of the things we're trying to do is really attack the footprint in terms of recruiting. It's something Temple's gotten away from. And, the results, we haven't signed this class yet, but in terms of committed and, how they're rated, we're ranked 2nd in our league right now behind South Florida. We're ranked 3rd of all G6s behind UNLV in South Florida. We're 75th nationally in front of Auburn and Virginia Tech. So quickly we've come in and put together a really, really outstanding freshman class. And that's where it starts. I'm going to build the thing from the ground up. I'm going to really work hard to retain the players in this program that we want to retain. I'm going to work hard with a freshman class. And then from there, we'll selectively go get those transfer portal guys. We're not going to be a team that lives just in the JUCO world or the transfer portal. I think it's tough to make a culture there. And like I said, the proof is the class we have committed right now. We got those rising high school seniors on campus and their families, and they loved it. They saw Philly in a unique way. They saw Temple in a unique way. And of the 32 we had on campus, I think we had 6 flights. So 24 or so, or 28 were, in a range where they could drive to campus. So I think there's a way to attack this recruiting, and we're in a hotbed of football with Jersey and PA and Maryland and Virginia. I mean, so I just think that Temple has to get back to recruiting its roots.
We're talking to Casey Keeler here, the Temple football head coach. You talk about recruiting, and it's great in bringing guys in, but I know something that's been a big talking point with you. I think I read just your approach to retaining players, which is such a big part of what college football is today, that you want to make them feel like they're leaving an entire place instead of just leaving one coach. What is the strategy in being able to try and retain and keep players at Temple?
Well, and it showed with the recruiting class that we put together, where when those families came in and sat with me with their sons, it was like there's an energy here. There's a family atmosphere. The coaches' relationships with the coaches, the players' relationship with the players, and the coach-player relationships. And those are things I specialize in. I'm not calling the offense anymore. I'm not calling the defense. I'm the one who is all about the culture and the relationships. And so for the short period of time we've been here, for those recruits and those families to see that so quickly, that there's a unique bond we've already developed with our players, I think it bodes well for how we can recruit here. You got to remember, we haven't played a game yet. We don't have a win under our belt, and so for us to basically ask these people to take a leap of faith that we can get this done and have put together the class we've already put together. Again, I think it speaks volumes to the kind of people I hired. I would say hire great coaches, but hire better people. And I think that translated pretty well in the recruiting process so far.
And one thing I have to ask you, because it was something that was sent to me, I would say 24 times over the last 2 weeks, the clip that was circulating talking about Evan Simon sleeping in the football facility. I know we're still in the midst of a quarterback battle here, so I'm not asking you to reveal your hand and for anything to get out there ahead of the game on Saturday. But can I get the truth on Evan Simon sleeping at the football facility down there at Edberg Olson?
Well, I didn't know he was sleeping here. I know late at night he's still here. I saw him yesterday after I saw it circulating, and I said, hey, listen, I have a great couch in my office. I'll leave the door open. Don't be afraid to take a nap or fall asleep in there. But that's who he is. I mean, he was clearly a single digit, and if you know the history of the single digit here, it's like that guy who will, it's the guy that you want in the foxhole when you're going into battle. It's the guy that you want to lead you up that hill when you're taking the hill. And he's that guy. And the story I always like to talk about, tell about Evan is the first day his competition showed up, Giovanni McCoy. I'm looking out there on the field in June, and it's an OTA, so we're kind of doing, we're doing football stuff. And Evan's showing Giovanni the footwork. I mean, Evan wants to win. He wants to be the starting quarterback, but he's putting the premium on. I'm going to do everything I can to win. And I thought there was such a big, moment showing that, quarterback's that tough position to play two guys, and here Evan is, helping Giovanni out. Now, I would be shocked on Saturday if we don't play both quarterbacks at some point, because it's been a great battle, and I feel really good that I have two quarterbacks that can play. And I don't think we thought going into it it's going to work out that way. But if you look at the statistics, they've almost been throw to throw with each other. And so that's a good thing. I think we have two quarterbacks that can lead this team.
Obviously, you open up on the road this weekend against UMass, but the opportunity to be a part of a game day inside of Lincoln Financial Field. One, how are you looking to build that experience? I know you talk about winning as bringing people on board, but how are you looking to build that experience, and what's it going to mean to you to step out there at the Link?
Yeah, I talked to the freshman class, largest freshman class in the history of this university, and I said, let's do something with that. Let's be special. Let's be engaged in this community. I know we're, as a football program, we have 3,000 hours of community service. We're engaged in this community. Support your athletic teams. Come down and support the football team. You know what I mean? So let's do something with that. And, I think when you win, they will come. The other thing is, if you think about it, by recruiting locally, you have a much better chance of bringing a fan base in. A high school team wants to come to watch our starting corner or whatever it may be. So I think, the strategy of recruiting better locally, also scheduling locally. Like, we want Penn State on the schedule. We want Delaware on the schedule. We want James Madison, Old Dominion, Massachusetts, Rutgers, those kind of people on the schedule. So, Oklahoma, great. It's obviously a historic program, but honestly, I'd rather play Pitt. I'd rather play Penn State. I'd rather play Virginia Tech or those schools right here that are going to draw people here. So I think there's a way of attacking this thing, and I know we're kind of looking at all the angles of how to, be able to increase the crowd sizes in Lincoln Financial.
You can sign this grad up for coming out for games against Penn State and Pitt. I would be fired up to see that local competition going on, given all the alumni in this area that I would want to be able to talk smack on coming to those games.
And typically, a lot of Temple people working with a lot of Penn State people. Typically, we own the business, and those guys are working for us. So and so we'll probably end up buying the tickets for them. We'll buy the tickets for the Penn State guys. Come on, come watch us play.
Oh, I'm sending that clip to so many people I know. I appreciate that so much. KC, real quick for you. The team that you obviously sharing the link with and is the Eagles' home. How are you feeling about the Birds this season?
Yeah, I feel great about them. I have two players on there right now. Tristan McCullum. Zion's his brother, plays for Tampa. Tristan McCullum won a Super Bowl last year. For them, he's one of my players at Sam Houston. Ife Day, he was on the roster. I know the cutdown's coming up. But I was at Lincoln Financial watching practice, when they had that open practice. And actually, you don't know this, but Nick Sirianni called me 2 days before the Super Bowl. And I'm like, Coach, what are you doing? I just picked you on social media. You got a game. And he just wanted to talk to me about my days at Rowan, because he sat in Salem Stadium and watched Mount Union and Rowan play for the national championship in 1993 when his brother played for Mount Union. And then fast forward, I think it's 6 years later, I think it's 1999 or 1998, and he's playing for Mount Union, and his only loss as a college football player, we broke the longest win streak in the history of college football, beating Mount Union. They won 56 straight. And so we were talking about the old days, and he actually played against me when I was coaching.
2 days before the Super Bowl, you were on the phone with Nick Sirianni talking about a game in which he played in against you.
Yes, it sounds crazy, but you can see how he felt pretty good going into the game with the Chiefs.
Oh, I love it. Well, Casey, thank you so much for making the time for us. Looking forward to watching this team this season.
All right, thank you. Go Owls.
Go Owls, absolutely on that one. That is Casey Keeler, the head football coach of your Temple Owls. How about that? Is that not the most Nick Sirianni story of all time? Sirianni on the phone 2 days before the Super Bowl talking about a game at Mount Union.
Not something I had on my bingo card.
No.
Well, him talking about Mount Union before Super Bowl, sure, but a game that with Coach Keeler, I didn't know that even was in the realm of possibility.
No. So I appreciate Casey Keeler for joining us and dropping that nugget there at the end. Sirianni, 2 days before the Super Bowl. We're talking about the Friday of Super Bowl week. We're talking about, we were all sitting here just getting ourselves fired up for the game. He's on the phone like, remember that Rowan Mount Union game that I played in that we lost, that you guys beat us in? How you doing down there?
Still thinks about it.
That has to eat at him. That has to eat at him. Man, I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited for Casey Keeler and Temple football. What I'm nervous about and what I don't think I can still stomach is what's coming tonight in this second game of Phillies Mets. We'll get to that coming up next. We appreciate Casey Keeler joining us on the show there, talking Temple football. Of course, the Owls open up on the road this weekend. First game at home is the 6th, and that's against Howard. Get your tickets at owlstix.com. I think I'm going to the Oklahoma game coming up on September 13th. I think that is when I will make my first trek down there. My first college football game of the season will actually be at Coastal Carolina. Going to visit my sister.
Tuesday, August.
You don't even care. You just want to fire the brake. All right.
Finger slip there, my bad.
All right, yeah, cool. Yeah, coming up next. We'll see if Sean Robbins still here. I'm ready to take it through middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia.
Sirianni guy, Bill Colarulo. And I was like, listen, you got to hear this Sirianni story. I know he's back there prepping. And their prep area, for those who are unfamiliar with the way things are set up here, their prep area is all the way in the back corner, so they can't actually hear the shows that's happening unless they make a concerted effort. Like, Silvana, I know, has done the AirPod in the past to listen in, and I know that she was in our YouTube chat, and like they'll listen on the way in, but when they're in that back corner, they can't hear anything unless they're trying to hear something, because they're very much in a work mode back there in that back corner. So I was like, Bill, you missed this because you're back here in this back corner. But your boy was just mentioned on the air that Sirianni was on the phone with Casey Keeler 2 days before the Super Bowl. That's insane to me. That's like insane behavior. I get it. I'm sure that game between Mount Union and Rome was great, but like to be locked in on that days before, 2 days before. Amy Fadul texts us. Amy will be with us the next 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. That it is the most Sirianni story of all time. There could not be a more Sirianni story than that one. And I appreciate him just dropping that one in there for us. So good to get a chance to catch up with Casey Keeler and talk a little Temple football. There's the college football conversation around here. I know Kincade talks about this all the time for me, for him, and for the fact that he was in Atlanta and was able to talk all those years. You know, we talk about it, sprinkle it in there a little bit. I don't know if you saw the Arizona State video. Did you see this? The dust storm that went over that stadium?
I did not know.
Oh, yeah, you got to go look that one up. That looks like wild. And I've been to, not actually inside that stadium, I've been to the campus, Arizona State, because we had a multi-team event. But the dust storm that engulfed their field was wild. So if you have not yet seen that, might I suggest going to, I believe they posted on Twitter, and watching as it happens, because it's insane. And that's your college football conversation for the day. We'll get back to the baseball here. I want to let you know that our Fanatic deal of the week is to the Jug Handle Inn. Get a $50 gift card there for just $25. Enjoy their famous wings, burgers, drink specials, live music, and more at the Jug Handle Inn in Cinnaminson. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. Phillies and Mets tonight. I've already told you. I believe the outfield. Wilson, Bader, Castellanos against Minaya. I think they're just going to sell out for the righties in the outfield. For Minaya tonight, obviously has been hurt for most of the season, has not been good to his level coming back, but it's that weird, funky arm slot that has had the Phillies' number in his last two starts against them. Tonight, you got to be able to turn the tide. And for Luzardo, if they had something on Sanchez, goodness, what could they have on Luzardo tonight if you truly believe that Sanchez was tipping pitches? Luzardo had that problem earlier in the season. We'll see if he is able to continue his good stretch of things tonight. They just need to find a win in the worst possible way tonight up at Citi Field. And it is really, really troublesome to me, the trend that continues there. I am watching tonight more so than what they're doing on the field, how they're reacting to what's happening on the field. Because I think they can feel the pressure of this. They can show you just how tightly they're playing right now, and that needs to be corrected in Citi Field so badly. That needs to be fixed so badly, so quickly. I get it. The worst you come out of this is 4 games still leading the division. But I didn't go up there to get swept. And if you come out of this series having lost 10 in a row up in New York, is anyone going to feel comfortable? This is still a potential matchup. Also, you struggle against the Mets, and you kind of work your way through the rest of the season, end up with that 3rd spot, and 3-6, that matchup, 3-game series against the Mets. Granted, it won't be at Citi Field. I don't think anyone will feel easy about that. So you need to have that figured out. And you need to right the ship against this team, please, tonight. Tomorrow, Lord knows the begging I'll be doing for them to be able to figure it out. If we see them drop another game tonight. Let's go to the text line for the final time. Start with some Phillies text here. What do we got, Sean Robin?
All right. This is Bill from Hamilton Square, New Jersey. It says, this team's offense has consistently shut down after scoring 3 or 4 runs. Until they change their approach at the plate, this team will continue to look the same. I don't know if he means it's just for the Mets or in general.
I mean, last night was an example of that. I didn't love follow. Like, you got to Senga. You just weren't able to get that, like, kind of knockout punch where you were really able to put that game into your control. And I thought they did better with the approach last week against the Mariners. That obviously subsided quite quickly. So that's what they need to do tonight. What else we got there?
All right. Well, I'm going to switch over to the Romano thing because I think you might find this funny. Josh from Belmar says, I absolutely love seeing Romano come in. It tells me the Phillies aren't taking the game seriously and I can turn off the TV and do whatever else around the house.
I was thinking last night about that guy that called us last week. I think it was TJ, who had the 7-year-old that turns off the game. I was thinking of TJ last night as Romano was doing what he was doing. I was like, man, TJ's son must be livid. Or just walked out of the room and went to bed. Honestly, it's a good thing. If your kids are smart enough to realize that when Romano comes in, the game's over, at least you're able to get to the bed on time. Smart with school starting back.
That is true. Another person checking in saying the Phillies tonight game will tell me a lot about the players on this team. Either they have what it takes to win it all, or they are just a team that has no heart. 8 in a row at Citi Field, and they got embarrassed last night. Tonight is the game they need to win for me to believe in this great team or not. That's
wow.
Matt.
I don't know if I could put all of it on this game. It's more the matchup with the Mets. Because if you don't see the Mets this postseason, then we don't, like, this conversation doesn't exist. I don't think there's another team out there that has their number this way. Like, if you were a Braves fan in 2023, like, if you were a Braves fan now, looking back at 2023, you probably just wish you didn't run into the Phillies.
Yeah. Definitely, if you're a Braves fan, especially because you mentioned yesterday, I believe it was, with the Game 3 starters that they had that were just weaker.
Yeah, like if the Marlins had found a way to beat the Phillies, like, congrats, you're moving on. Like, that to me is where this comes from. This is not so much a, like, what does it say about this team at large? It's what does it say about this matchup as a whole? And this matchup is really the problem for me right now, not necessarily this team. All right. Now, we have some people that are giving us kudos.
Yes, some people are giving us kudos.
That's weird. Not used to that one.
No name. This is I believe his name's Floyd. I love it. This is on our breaking news. Says I love it. It's trolling at its finest. Can't complain. Another person checking in saying Maria from Doylestown saying that was breaking news in my world. Help Taylor and Travis break the internet. Thank you for breaking the news to me, Maria.
You're welcome, Maria. I'm glad I could break that news to you. I had someone in a group chat text that I can't believe I found this news out from a Schefter notification, and someone else replied, would you expect a text from Travis himself? Which was a nice response to it.
Maybe Jason.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they're missed content opportunity for the podcast. Like, you got her on the show last week.
Yeah.
But just imagine teasing the engagement podcast. That is the ultimate engagement.
I mean, I'm sure
it's engagement on the engagement.
I'm sure if you go back to the podcast, you'll find little hints here and there that it actually had already happened.
Do you think, and this would be
if you go on Twitter right now and you search it, I'm sure there's Swifties already finding this out.
There's like the content king moment where, like, they might have gotten engaged and then just went and recorded a podcast. Like, that might have been the way they celebrate their engagement.
All right, that might be a bit of a stretch there.
Also, is there a clause for her, like, I don't go on your podcast until we're engaged?
Maybe.
Like,
maybe that's what got her on.
That could be, there are women
Not
that
to promote the own album.
Yeah.
She had to be engaged first.
Bill's thrilled by this. Bill, I know he's a big Swiftie, so this might be the lead topic today at 2 o'clock.
I can only imagine the look on his face.
Yeah, I think you're pointing, he's doing the clock thing. Yeah, the new era is about to start. I know you're excited about that. Countdown clock's been driving you crazy, huh? Try and win a battle of wits with me, Colarulo. It's still on. All right? I think this war is not over. All right. Well, that's all we got for you today. You got Unfiltered coming up next. No. You don't get to change the signage in here while I'm still on the air. That's not how this works. I get until the out time. I still got 10 seconds left. All right? Colarulo, you're not getting free advertising out of me. And your ability to work this thing is also just dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Thanks for helping me cover the time now. He's Sean Rodman. I'm Ray Dunn. Talk to you real soon. 97.5 The Fanatic.
3 by 4 p.m. Anais Smith released, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, and some other notable players waived have been Kyle McCord, Eli Ricks, and Kenyon Green, who was originally brought in that C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade.